Hello, everybody. Happy Sunday and welcome. Welcome to another exciting show. And I promise to you that that's going to be pretty interesting indeed. Now, as you see with the title of the show, we're going to dive into this petition thing that came out with Kevin Samuels. But first, let us jump into the intro. Once again, everybody, happy Sunday. I am the official urban therapist. I appreciate you tuning in to this afternoon show. Normally, normally when y'all follow me, I normally do these type of shows on the weekday, like around by 9 or 10 o'clock at night. But I wanted to do this show today because it's really important for me to go and drop my perspective about this particular thing. Now, for those of you who don't know, there is a current petition that's been sent out on change.org. The petition is regarding Kevin Samuels, and pretty much the petition is advocating to have Kevin Samuel platform to be removed for all his platforms, YouTube, Instagram, all that stuff there. So, without further ado, let me go ahead and show you this petition so I could give you the give you this leeway of where I'm gonna go with all this. Okay, let me go and drop it real quick for you so y'all can see it. Give me a second. All right, I'll make it big for you. Now, this is the current petition right here that's out right now. As you can see, this petition that says remove Kevin Samuels from YouTube and Instagram. Now, as you see right here, this is the person who filed the petition on change.org. This person name is Goldie Jones. She has a YouTube channel called the Goldie Jones channel. So if you want to check that out and subscribe to her channel, by all means, do that. But she's the one who filed the petition on this originally. Okay, so this is the whole purpose of a petition. It says this: with the rise of violence against women, specifically African American women, YouTuber Kevin Samuels has galvanized a community of men of our race and nationalities in the outspoken hatred of women. Removing this voice of diverse vitriol will allow women to feel safer not only in public spaces but in online communities as well. Freedom of speech is a constitutional right for each of us. However, when that speech is loaded with thoughts and threats of violence towards women, manipulating young women, and even fantasies of death to women, that freedom of speech becomes a prison for all people. Those thoughts and desires are tended to isolate. Acts of violence, sexually predatory behavior, and even death has been documented as stemming from the relic of Mr. Samuels and his community of followers has spewed in just the last 12 months alone. Women feel unsafe in the presence of men who identify with his ideology and have been um, berated while going about their daily lives. Yes, even while they work with criticism that have been spoken directly from Mr. Salmon's mouth. The very words that were spoken on social media platforms have permitted every facet of daily lives for unsuspecting women. Removing this leader of hatred against removing this leader of hatred against women will bring reprieve for all of us. So, well, what do y'all think about this so far? What do y'all think about this petition to remove Kevin Samuels from his platform? Do you think this content creator Goldie Jones she has validity in well what she's petitioned about? Do y'all think so? Also, since she had filed this petition, it has reaching up to over about 15,000 now. It's about 15,697 people who have signed this petition. so far. 15,691 people have signed this petition so far to remove Kevin Samuels. So how do y'all feel about that? Once again, do y'all feel that Miss Jones, she has validity and what she's talking about for some Kevin Samuels and getting him rid of all social media platforms? What do y'all think about that? Now, I most definitely am going to give my perspective about this. If y'all haven't been tuning into my other videos and stuff that I did with Kevin Samuels, I recommend you go ahead either on my Facebook channel if you're viewing me on Facebook, or if you're viewing me on Instagram, go ahead and view my Instagram channel as well, because I did several videos regarding Kevin Samuels, Tonya TKO, Cynthia G, and everything that they're talking about there. So I recommend you go on my channel or on my Facebook page and just view them videos so you can understand my perspective about that. But however, I did a video about counseling Kevin Samuels. Now my video it didn't it wasn't geared towards to totally counsel the work that Kevin Samuels was doing. My one response to this was that there are certain things that he speak that I just don't agree with. Um, his delivery and his speech, I just don't agree with, because he's based in his truth and making it facts when it's not necessarily facts. It's just his truth or just his perspective, and that's why I disagree with him with that. All right. So I did a video about this, but however, Miss Jones, she totally want him to be totally eliminated from all social media platforms by filling this petition out on change.org. So I know that it being many other content creators who have did videos about this petition, but I purposely wanted to wait. I wanted to wait until Miss Jones actually come out and actually speak about her actual reasons for why she signed this petition to begin with in the first place, why she got it started and everything. So I waited and I waited and waited. And finally, Miss Jones finally came out and did actual panel discussion about her reasons. But before I jump into that, I do want to acknowledge that Ms. Johnson, she is in the house. I appreciate you tuning in right now. And Ms. Johnson, she's saying his delivery needs work, but a lot of what he's saying is not wrong. So part of that, just like I say, I agree with it. Then the other part of it, just like I say, it just dealing with a lot of his truth versus facts. And that's just the only part of it that I have a problem with. Well, where he's speaking, when he's trying to make his truth become facts, that's the part that I have a problem with. But I don't want to hold y'all too long. Let me go and get this off the screen real quick. Miss Jones, she actually, matter of fact, today, she did a panel discussion with a content creator known as the Women's Perspective. They're known as the Women's Perspective. Now, if you're not following their content, I highly recommend that you go and follow their content. It's called to Break Down the Women's Perspective. And she actually did a panel with them today. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go ahead and share what happened with this interview. I'm gonna share main segue points that they was asking Miss Jones about how the way she feel about this petition. I'm gonna share certain things. I'm not gonna share the whole entire interview because it's about 2 hours long. All right. But however, you can go to their page and see the whole thing in its entirety. As a matter of fact, right now they're doing a after show right now where they have Ms. Jones on the panel, and there's different people who they're allowing different people to come up and give their perspective about what she said in this first half of the show. All right, but I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna share this with y'all, and I want y'all to Let's get an understanding of where she's coming from, her validity behind it and everything, okay? Yeah, buddy. Hey, what's up, Matt? Welcome. Let me go and get this up for y'all real quick. And we're gonna jump into this. We're going to jump into this. Then while I'm doing this, I'm going to also give my commentary as we're viewing it too, okay? All right, let me do this. I'm gonna go ahead and just blow this all the way up where y'all can see it. All right, so once again, um, this interview comes from the breakdown a woman's perspective. There you can find them. They actually have a Facebook page, and they also on YouTube as well. Once again, this their page is called the Breakdown a Woman's Perspective, right? So they did a really good job in this interview, on this panel interview with Miss Jones. Okay, so just like I say, I'm not going to view the whole thing. I'm going to segue into different points about this. All right. So the first part that we're gonna view right now, um, this first part, they're going to ask her what is going to be the reason for her signing this petition, and let's hear what Miss Jones had to say. Her reason for this petition.
And we will be dropping your link to your channel. And I'm going to ask the mods if you don't mind sharing Goldie's link, because she does have her own channel, the Goldie Jones channel. But I want to know, like, what was your reason for creating this petition? Just plain and simple.
Thank you so much, Concrete. Can you hear me? I told y'all that I got my babies together, and here he is, right?
He like, that's what you thought, Mama. We can hear you fine.
Okay. So I operate a small space on a social media platform where I interact with about 15 to 1600 ladies, kind of like on a daily basis or so. And we talk about relationships and dating and leveling up and, you know, all of the girly things, right? Makeup, clothes, hair, all of that stuff. And so many of the girls had, you know, begun sharing experiences from recent dating, you know, interactions that they've had with men on the phone and in person. And one thing rang true with most of those experiences that these ladies were sharing is that there was this surgence of like this red pill, quote unquote, ideology that was kind of spilling over into real life. I know that the YouTube space is a little more advanced than what's happening in day-to-day life. So I was really surprised to hear that these disastrous dates were, you know, with these guys were happening with men that belong to the red pill community. And after listening further and hearing more about those experiences, they also followed Kevin Samuels. That was like the common theme between all of them. I had those conversations with women who had been on dates with guys and how odd those experiences were, but then even shared more conversations with other women about how their self-esteem had been impacted, and just their view of themselves and self-worth and confidence had been impacted by opinions that were kind of floating around in the space, you know, about rating yourself, what they felt they were eligible for in life because of how they looked, or if they had an education or not, or if they had children or not, or just so many different things. And I felt so bad for these ladies who felt trapped in the opinions of others and a community that most women don't know about, you know. So I decided to create this little petition because I was saying to myself and to the ladies, if something is going on and you don't agree with it, or you feel like it's making you feel endangered, or, you know, you're feeling less safe because of these opinions that are going around, you know, you can do something about it. It doesn't mean that, you know, that those opinions will go away, but you can make your opinion known too about how you're being impacted by the actions and words of other people and how your daily life is being affected by that. So I created the petition and shared it to my group, and I got about 200 signatures, and I just forgot about it. I didn't share it on my public Facebook page. I didn't share it in many other spaces outside of that little area that I was speaking to ladies in. And about 2.5 months after I created that petition, I got an email from a young lady by the name of Cassandra, and she had shared the petition on her platform. And just, I think a day after she shared that, she sent me the email, I started getting all of these crazy emails and comments on old videos, you know, because I really hadn't been active on my YouTube channel, and inboxes on Instagram and Facebook from all these strangers regarding the petition, and that kind of brought us to where we are now.
So, what do y'all think about her response to the reason why she created this petition to begin with in the first place? Do you think her response behind the petition, is it valid? Is it valid or not? Now once again, this interview happened today. Almost 2 hours ago, with the breakdown of women's perspective page. Okay. Once again, if you're not following that page, I do recommend that you go ahead and follow them. They are on YouTube and on Facebook as well. But how y'all feel about her response about it? Is it valid? Now, Ms. Johnson, she said, how are women unsafe because of Kevin Samuels? It sounds like a reach. Me, yeah. Ms. Smith, welcome to the show. She says this: Is this to silent opposing opinions? That's a valid question as well. So far, what I'm hearing is that she created this petition because certain things that Kevin Samuel was talking about, she didn't agree with. And so she created this petition saying that he needs to be silenced. Now, once again, in the beginning, when I told y'all that, I don't agree with certain things that Kevin Samuel said because he tries to make his truth becomes fact. That's the only reason why I would disagree with it. But other than that, if he does speaking strictly from his truth, speaking from his perspective about things that he deal with through his life, I don't see no reason why he should be canceled, because he does speaking his personal truth. That's it. But so far, what she's saying now, and I agree. So far, what she's talking about, it's a reach. But keep in mind, when I showed y'all the petition earlier, keep in mind that she was saying in the petition that Kevin Samuels was causing violence against women. That was the whole point of the petition, that Kevin Samuels was causing violence towards women. Ms. Fletcher, welcome to the show, by the way. And it says this: I don't know about Counselor Kevin Samuels. It's almost trying to stop his freedom of speech. I would encourage people not to watch. Yeah, I agree too. I agree to that also. Any content that any type of content creator put out there, you have the freedom to either listen to it or not listen to it. And I agree to that. Even with my response with Kevin Samuels, once again, when he's preaching the rhetoric that this is more truth, this is more facts than it being just his truth, then I would have to disagree with him on that, because it's not. It's just your facts. I mean, I'm sorry, it's just your truth, and that's it. It's it. But however, so far, she still really haven't answered the question: what's the real reason for causing this causing you to do this petition? I and so far, I don't see a reason why. I don't see a reason why he should be canceled. Miss Anderson, welcome, welcome. She says this, absolutely valid. What Kevin Samuels is pushing on black men will forever keep us all divided or keep a man's foot on a woman's neck. Plus, the majority of all black men were not born with a golden spoon in their mouths, meaning financially wise. We have to work together and respect each other. Kevin Samuels' situation is far from perfect. He seems to be poisoning other weak-minded black men because of his anger towards women in the black community, and shame on him. Shame on him. Now, Miss Anderson, that's an interesting perspective because that's a lot of rhetoric that a lot of women is saying that he's doing. A lot of women are saying that. But however, once again, if he does talking his truth, is that a valid reason to get him counseled? Because once again, just like what Mr. Fletcher said earlier, he said that if you don't want to listen to him, you have every right to not listen to him. You don't have to listen to him at all. You don't. But it's people that choose to listen to him. And Ms. Johnson, she said facts. Chew the meat, spit out the bones. Yeah, exactly. Now, like I say, there are things that Kevin Samuels do say that, I can't agree with him on, as long as he's speaking of his truth and not trying to speak as though it's being facts about it. I can rock with him on that. All right. But so far, she haven't did that. She really haven't proved her stance so far yet. So what I'm gonna do, I'm forward to the next point. On this next point, they're gonna ask her, do they agree with the content that Kevin Samuels put out there? They're gonna ask her that, and this is going to be her response. Let me get to it. Let me fast forward to it, and she's gonna give an interesting response too. And I want y'all to hear this.
Speech, but the hearers and doers of that speech. I really think that that there's a fine line, and we have a responsibility to ourselves and to others to be honest about the reality of that.
Well, do you agree with any of Kevin Samuels' talking points?
Yeah, I have been on panels with you ladies before, and we've spoken specifically about Kevin. Y'all know that I liked Kevin then. I still like him now. And I listen to his videos, his streams a lot. They're very entertaining, and I do take away some beneficial information from most of them. But
you're saying current day, you still watch Kevin?
Yeah, I watched Kevin not too long ago.
Really?
I don't watch him as much as I used to, but I'm sub to Kevin, and I've seen him in the last 2 weeks or so. On the stream. I can't remember which one, but yeah. I'm not against to listening to him, and I'm not against to listening to opposing perspectives. So.
Okay, I want to just pause it right there real quick, is because now y'all just heard it from her mouth that she said that she's not against Kevin Samuel and his opposing views. She just said that, right? She said also that she's actually sub to him and sub to his channels. And then they had asked her, like, okay, hold up. So are you listening to her even right now, modern day, like right now, currently? And she said, yeah. So once again, this now challenged the validity of her putting this on petition now. So if that be the case, if you're saying that you're saying that you're against Kevin Samuels, so you want Kevin Samuels to be canceled. You want his whole platform to be canceled based on the speech that he's talking about women. In other words, he's causing violence against women. It could be viewed as hate speech and all these different other areas. Then why are you saying on her that you listen to him? Why are you saying that? But I want y'all to hear more of what she got to say about this, all right? I want y'all to hear more about this, all right? Miss Faith, welcome, by the way. Welcome, Miss Faith.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I do agree with some things he say. He has said, but when we get into other things I don't agree with. But that doesn't mean that I have to hate him or not like him or think he's scum of the earth. It just means that I don't agree. And I think that those statements, when internalized by the wrong people, can really be destructive.
So although you think there's some truth to you agree with some of the things that he says, is it that, and I'm just asking this as a clarifying question before I ask my question. So although you agree with some of the things that he says, is it that you think that his message is somehow detrimental to women? Just for clarity.
Yeah, I think that, okay, baby. I think that, okay. I think that elements of his message can be destructive to a certain demographic, and I'm talking specifically Black women. I think that Black women kind of get the most criticism from him and his followers, and yeah, I think that, women in general can benefit from some of the things he says, but I think that elements of his message can really be destructive when aimed towards Black American women in particular.
Thank you. That I find that interesting, and I was going to ask another question, but now I want to go in a different direction. So I find that interesting that you find that elements of his message can be destructive or detrimental to African American women, whereas the premise.
I want to pause real quick on the reason why I'm gonna pause real quick, because they finna get ready to segue into another important question that she's ready to challenge Ms. Jones about. The question that she's ready to challenge Ms. Jones about is, does she believe that women need to be held accountable for their actions? So they're getting ready to segue into this question, and listen to her response about this as well. And now y'all already heard what she said earlier about Kevin Samuels. She's saying that overall there's certain things that Kevin Samuels says that she does not agree with, which that's fine. That's fine. You can agree to disagree. But however, do that disagreement solidify that this bring an act of violence against women to cause this man platform to be canceled? That's what we want to find out. But listen to her response on this question.
I guess, of like a lot of the rhetoric in this space is to hold women accountable. So I want to know what your thoughts are about Black women being held accountable, and if the men, like in your personal circle, if you see examples of men, within your own life holding Black women accountable. So like, what are your thoughts about his message, not necessarily being of detriment, but kind of like holding a mirror up to Black women to say, this is the mess that you've created as a result of your actions, and you need to be held accountable for said actions. I'm not sure. Is that clear, or do you need me to clarify what I'm asking?
You're asking me, how do I feel about Kevin in particular, but men holding women accountable for their actions?
Yeah.
Correct?
Essentially, yes, absolutely.
Okay, and then you also spoke about men in my everyday life and kind of.
Yeah, do you see those examples? Right.
Okay, yeah, I think that from my perspective, the man is the leader, like he's in charge, right? Like it starts with him and it kind of ends with him. I think that women can and should, respectfully, state what it is that they want and need from situations or interactions with men. But I think that men are ultimately, quote unquote, in charge. Okay. With that being in charge, there comes a huge responsibility. A lot of times we talk about submission, women being submissive to men, but with that, men have a huge responsibility in creating the environment for the woman to be submissive and to feel safe enough to kind of turn her, quote unquote, power or safety over to the man and trust that he will honor that. So when it comes to men holding women accountable, I definitely think that's a thing. Men have held me accountable in my real life. I look to men to hold me accountable in my real life. It's just that I think that the sentiment that I hear in the community that Kevin kind of belongs to or comes from is unbalanced in a way. I think that they describe the worst of us, the most egregious of us, ladies, and then compare all women along that spectrum. And I think that's where the problem comes in at. We have some women that haven't had positive interactions with men or don't have men in their immediate circles, and therefore might not know how to interact with the man respectfully or something like that. But then we have those women who have positive and healthy relationships with men and better understand men and are able to relate to them in a more respectful way. But these men focus heavily on those women who have not learned or have not been taught kind of the differences between a man and a woman and how healthy communication is fostered. So I think that's how the perspective, Kevin's perspective, coming from the community that he comes from and all of that is unbalanced, and it paints a whole demographic as one thing when that's really not our reality.
All right, so I want to stop it right there too. So what y'all think about her rebuttal behind it? Do y'all honestly believe that that Kevin Samuels, the rhetoric that Kevin Samuels put out there on his shows, that it really caused this much destruction with black women to the point where they're being physically abused, they're being mentally abused, emotionally abused, and all these different type of areas. Do y'all believe that that's what's happening right now? Furthermore, a follow-up question behind that is this: that have y'all actually experienced, since Kevin Samuels been out, have y'all actually experienced, probably from your private life or from people that's part of your immediate circles, have y'all actually experienced men being more violent towards women? They're being mentally, physically more violent towards women since they've been listening to Kevin Samuels. That's my question I want to ask y'all. From my personal perspective, I haven't seen that yet. I haven't seen that this particular man, Kevin Samuels, I have not seen that this particular man has caused this whole entire situation where violence against women, domestic violence, and all this stuff were happening as a result of Kevin Samuels speaking his truth. I haven't seen it, nor I haven't seen reports of that neither. However, the acts towards domestic violence towards women or towards men, it has been prevalent before Kevin Samuels even came on the scenes. And it's prevalent right now while he's on the scene right now. So to me, for her to mention that these different things is a resort because of what Kevin Samuels is saying, to me, that's a reach. And that's an unfair reach, because Kevin Samuels doesn't control other men's actions. He don't. At the end of the day, Kevin Samuels doesn't control these men. Actually, he doesn't make these men do the choice to do certain things that they want to do towards women. He doesn't do that. Now, I do have to honestly admit for some Miss Jones on rebuttal for us, where what she's talking about the people who he's sitting around with. I do have to admit that the manosphere and the red pill movement does do sort of verbally abuse and stuff like that on social media. I do got to admit that because I experienced that. I seen that. But however, just because they're speaking certain type of verbal things towards people, that doesn't mean that it's a actual act of violence that goes against towards a said person. You understand what I'm saying? Like for example, a year ago, I had I had did a video, I did a show when I was talking about the police brutality. Since it was a huge thing last year about police brutality in the African American community. I had did a show and I had did a video showing people that in reality, these different videos that was coming out, in reality, it was the person who was causing these certain things to transpire where police stop stuff like that. It was the said person who was causing the situation to be more than what it is. So by me making that statement, that video ended up going viral. And also, it was people that was posting on my page. It was people that was posting on my page saying that, hey, you're not black. You're not black. You must be one of them Uncle Tom dudes saying all these negative things about me, and they didn't even know nothing about me. But they were saying all these negative things based on my truth that I was talking about the situation. But just because they were saying all this stuff, I have not yet to have any one of the people who was talking that noise. I have not yet had any one of these people to pull up in my neighborhood or anything like that to commit any type of violence against me. All it was that they was talking. It's the exact same way when you when us as content creators is dealing with people. People say what they want to say on social media all the time. They do. They say what they want to say on social media every single day, all the time. But just because they say that, that doesn't transpire that they're going to commit acts of violence against the said person. To me, that's a reach. That is a reach. Now, Ms. Johnson, she said, no, I have not experienced a man being more violent towards me. See? Hey, guess what, y'all? And Ms. Smith, she said, even men who don't listen to Kevin can choose to be abusers. See? It is wrong to blame one man's opinion for the individual choices for all they choose to take. That's true, too. Yeah, Ms. Sampson, I experienced mental and verbal abuse where it was all said and done. All I heard was Kevin said. Now, I'm glad that you mentioned that, Ms. Anderson. I'm glad that you mentioned it. And this goes back to my statement. When people on social media, people have this certain attitude or this certain entitlement, thinking that since they're behind the computer, they can say whatever they want to say. And all honestly, they can say whatever they want to say. That's why I was bringing up the point about that viral video that I did. At the end of the day, them people, they can say whatever they want to say. They can. Because they have a right to say whatever they want to say. But at the end of the day, just because it's mental and verbal abuse, that doesn't mean it's harming you. Unless you allow that people to enter into your space mentally to harm you. That's the one exception, if you allow it to happen. Now, once again, people have said all kind of crazy stuff about me. They do it all the time. They do it all the time. But just because they say that, I don't allow them people to affect who I am. I don't allow them people to come into my personal space of me mentally or even spiritually to affect who I am. Because at the end of the day, it's our words. And I also understand the power of words too. Because with the power of words, you have a choice to choose if you want that word to become powerful in your life or not. Case in point, many of y'all right now, y'all subscribe to certain type of religious belief, whether you're Christian, atheist, whatever it is that you subscribe to. There's certain things that preacher or that teacher or anything tell you, and you'll either believe it or you won't believe it. If that preacher tell you that all you have to do is pray to God and you're going to be healed, guess what? If you believe in that, you're going to be healed. If that preacher said that you're going to be prosperous in your upbringing, guess what? You're going to believe that and it's going to happen. Because you chose to allow that to enter into your mental and spiritual state of being. Likewise, in this situation with Kevin Samuels, just because he is saying certain things, which once again is based on his truth, it's not based on facts, it's based on his truth. Just because he is saying that doesn't justify the point that he could invade into your mental or spiritual space unless you allow him to do that. It is what it is. Miss Batata Intimate, I hope I'm saying the name right. Welcome to the show. So he said, if I say ladies, winter is coming, am I hostile? That's a good question. Because once again, that statement is based on truth. Is it a fact that winter's coming? I don't know. Depending on where you're living at. You can say winter is coming, but it's the summertime. Or you can say winter is coming, but you'll never see a drop of snowflake or whatever, based on where you're living at. And Ms. Anderson, she said this, and let us not forget when you're on a Kevin Samuels platform or a post about Kevin Samuels, women are constantly being attacked. Wake up, it's happening. Which once again, I agree with that, Ms. Anderson. It happens. I agree with that. I totally agree with that. And I'm so glad that you mentioned about that too, because now we're going to segue into another question that they're going to ask Ms. Jones too. The question that they're going to ask her next is this. They're going to ask her, well, what about the women who actually come onto Kevin Samuels' platform? What about them? So she's going to give her response about that too. Let me get to that part of this interview, and they're going to ask that question, and she's going to address it too. And I want y'all to hear what she got to say about that.
To start on, like, what about the thousands of women that actually support his message?
Good question.
What do you think about that?
Yeah, I do think that women play a big part of it. But to be honest, Kevin comes from a really strong community anyway. So as long as the conversation was about women, I think that Kevin would have been just as popular either way. But yeah, I think that women have been integral in his success and, really helped to take him to the next level. I think that it's not so much as just the women being there and kind of, calling into the show and everything. I think that is how the women are treated that has really made his show and his popularity what it is. He is kind of seen as like this hard-nosed guy that, doesn't take any mess from the women and is gonna, check them and hold them accountable and, tell them about themselves, So I think that a lot of guys and even a lot of women who are entertained by that tune in for, that type of thing. And that has increased his popularity significantly.
Everybody, I'd like to welcome Miss Joy Chit Chat. Miss Joy, welcome, welcome, welcome. I appreciate you tuning in. Now, once again, we're we're sharing right now the reason why Miss Jones feels that Kevin Samuels need to be counseled. If you're not familiar with this, let me go ahead and give you a real quick rundown again of what we're talking about. Miss Goldie Jones, she is a content creator on YouTube, and she's also on Facebook as well. She created this petition saying that Kevin Samuels need to be counseled, and the reason why she said that this petition that the reason why she created this petition is because overall on the petition she said that Kevin Samuels is creating violent acts against women. So therefore, Kevin needs to be counseled on all his platforms. So what we're looking at right now is an exclusive interview that the breakdown, a woman's perspective. The breakdown on women's perspective, they're also found on Facebook. Subscribe to their channel and on YouTube as well. They did an interview 3 hours ago with Miss Jones. And so what are we doing now? We're sharing this interview right now just to give validity about why Miss Goldie Jones feel that she created this petition and why she feel like that Kevin Samuels needs to be counseled. All right. So far within this interview, and I'm just being honest. So far within this interview, I really haven't seen no reason why Kevin Samuels should be counseled, other than him just preaching his truth, and that's it. But so far, his truth have not affected women in such a way where it causes violent acts against women. It haven't so far for us. What I have seen. But let us continue now. Let's continue with what Miss Jones got to say about this. Then I'm gonna give you my commentary after this.
So what would you say in regards to them participating? Like if they know Kevin Samuels pretty much conduct the same types of interview styles with women just about every time he goes live. And the women are rushing to get up there to be seen, to be heard, to get his advice. What would you say to them if they're the ones participating?
What I would say is that, I understand why these women are coming to him, because he is a man, he is an older man, and he seemingly is knowledgeable about what it is that he speaks about. And
I just want to pause it real quick because I want to address Ms. Johnson comment right here. She said, I can agree that Kevin Samuels' perspective is one-sided, and she says, I think content creators should be more balanced in how they approach relationships. Now that statement right there, Ms. Johnson, I can agree to disagree to that. The reason why, just by me being a content creator, the reason why is because there's certain situations where, and I'm talking about me personally. There's certain situations where I can be unbiased about and talk about it. Then there are other situations where I have to be biased about it. In other words, I have to choose a side. I have to choose a side. Now there being several different contents that I put out there where I've been unbiased with certain situations where I'm honestly just trying to figure out why this situation the way it is, and we're trying to come up with a reasonable conclusion. Normally, these situations deal with situations about us in the Black community and certain things that we can do to improve ourselves. Those situations, I'll be unbiased in that situation because I want to hear both people perspective so I can understand where both people are coming from. But there are other situations where I'm totally biased about because I feel that it's my absolute truth. And there's no um, unwavering it, period. And I believe that people like Kevin Samuels and other content creators such as Cynthia G, Tanya TKO, and all them, I believe that the stuff that they put out here, this is their personal truth. And they're not going to waver on it because it's their personal truth. They're biased about it, and it's their personal truth. Now, it's their personal truth. I have no other choice but to respect it. Even though I don't agree with it, I still will respect it because it's just their personal truth. Now, once again, my only disdain about it is that I just don't agree with Kevin Samuels or any one of these content creators. I just don't agree when they try to make this absolute facts when it's not. And you can tell when they do that. Normally when the person try to make things to be absolute facts is when they start trying to quote data, statistics, and all these other things to try to prove their argument. And they're trying to make it be facts. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all, period. Because at the end of the day, the data and statistics is not facts. It's not 100% facts. The data and statistics that they put out there is not even facts. It's not. So that's why I don't agree with it. That's why I don't. But let us push on.
Aside from that, like I mentioned earlier, not a lot of women have, positive relationships with quote unquote more quality guys that they can kind of talk to and kind of get some answers from. So in theory, I understand why they are going to his channel and why they are asking him questions. I do think that women they could be better served by really talking to a true professional, not to say that Kevin isn't a professional, but, a licensed therapist, a counselor, a psychologist, or something like that to help them understand the truly underlying issues. Because once we get past the you chose a bum or you chose a deadbeat dad or whatever, those criticisms are, or, you have a bad attitude, the woman really needs to begin to explore the root of those things. Why is my attitude the way it is? Why am I making the choices that I'm making in men? And I don't think that sorry, baby. I don't think that I have seen the conversation on Kevin's streams explored to that degree. So I think that ultimately the women are looking for answers.
Wait a minute, Goldie. You said you don't think it's been explored to that degree. I want you to clarify that for us.
I think she's meaning going deeper. Were you saying going deeper?
Yeah, on the streams, Kevin really, from what I've seen, I haven't seen all of his millions of streams, right? But from the ones that I have seen, there are, good conversations about the relationship in general, but not really not really delving deeper into the woman's pathology, the trauma that she might be working from, the abuse that she might have experienced that caused her to see things or make decisions the way that she has. It's kind of difficult to make that type of assessment, on the type of format that Kevin has. That's why professional therapists, licensed therapists, and counselors and all of that stuff are who they are, and they are available to us because, they have the ability to kind of get down to the root of it. And so I feel that, on the surface, we talk about the relationships and the failures of those relationships. But if you really want to get to the root, we need to begin to think more about therapy and actually pursue therapy and, really sort those things out in a meaningful way, in a way that can bring real solution to your now and to your later, more so than just talking about the surface issues.
Now, I'm on pausing right here because the next question that they're going to ask her, since she's talking about this, is that they're going to they're going to ask her, does Kevin Samuels actually talk about therapy on the show? They're going to ask about that. Then they're going to challenge her on it as well, saying um, saying that he actually do recommend therapy, and they also going to challenge her on the fact that do Kevin Samuels actually say that he's a therapist or he knows what you know he's handling these sort of behavior issues. So they're gonna get ready to segue into that, and in a few seconds, and we're going to dive deep into that as well. Okay. Now, Ms. Johnson, she said the abuse of the woman experience, it's on her to fix that, not Kevin Samuels. Kevin Samuels also tell these women that you have to address that by a therapist, which it is receipts there on his show. He do say that you need to seek a therapist. There are different receipts on that. And Ms. Smith, she says this: when are we going to stop being custody victims? We have just as much control as men do, if not more. We get to choose who we allow in our lives, and we get to choose who we allow to stay in our life. If a man posts out negative things about me that I know I can or should be fixed, then I should consider that. But I don't agree and see no issues with myself that he can go and take his expectations elsewhere. The victimhood that is held over us women is really bothersome to myself. Now, Ms. Smith, I can actually agree with your rebuttal on that, because at the end of the day, just like I stated earlier, that it is your responsibility to choose who you allow into your space. Period. It's your responsibility. It's your responsibility to allow who you decide that you want to be in a relationship with, who you want to marry, who you want to procreate with, all that. It is your choice, your responsibility. It is. You have to choose what's the best situation for yourself. And there's another thing too that Cynthia G actually says that I actually agree with her on this, is that she was saying that a lot of women need to go and vet these dusties. All right. Now, the reason why I agree with this statement, not the whole dusty part, but for as men per, the reason why I agree with that is because when we enter into relationships, we don't take the time to honestly vet people like how the way we do. And vetting basically means take the time to analyze, understand exactly where that person's mind is at. In other words, when you enter into relationships with people, we don't ask the right questions. We only ask the questions that we want to hear that's going to be beneficial into the relationship. For example, when we ask questions like, how much money do you make? Or any type of income type related questions. We ask questions like that. We ask questions, simple questions like, how many people you done slept with? Or how long was your last relationship? Certain questions like that, just to get to know people. But we don't ask the deep underlying questions that challenge a person to think. Like, when you was in your last relationship, what caused for that relationship to end? Was it on your part? Was it on her part? Was it both of y'all? Or what? What happened? We don't ask questions like, during your upbringing, did you ever experience your parents being physically, mentally, spiritually abused? And if you did, how did that make you feel? And did you what did you do to handle that situation? Well, what did you do so you could prevent that from happening when you be in relationships? See, certain trigger questions like that, them deep questions. So I believe that when we go deep into people, people upbringing, then you'll find out a lot about them. Instead of getting caught up in the courtship phase that this person is wooing you and dining you, this person is paying for your dinners, this person, doing all these different things to try to win you over. Then once you get into a relationship with that person turned out to be a totally different person because you didn't ask the right questions. And this goes for men and women, both. It goes for men and women. Hello, Miss Leader. She says this, people are so messed up right now. I could agree. I could agree. I could totally agree. But anyway, this next part, they're gonna get ready to segue into this therapy question, and they're gonna address all that. All right. So I want y'all to listen to hear what she had to say.
Okay.
Thank you
Now,
for that, Goldie.
just one last
Um,
thing, Concrete.
Go ahead.
His detractors are definitely going to tell you that he has suggested therapy for a lot of women that have come through his show. So that's going to be a thing that everybody's going to say, well, Kevin does suggest therapy for a lot of women. Do you have any response to that?
Yeah, I've heard him suggest therapy a lot, and that's one thing that I appreciate. The comments that compelled me to make the petition, I was surprised that he didn't speak to therapy or providing other alternatives outside of what he considered to be the solution to the issue that they were considering or talking about. But yeah, to be honest, I think a lot of us women who call into his show know that we need therapy, right? We know that therapy is available to us. We know that therapy exists. I used to work in, a place that had a lot of resources available to women for many different things, so even those of us who are more quote unquote disadvantaged know that these resources are available, yet, we still, have a conversation with someone who's going to point us back to where we know we should have been all along, so I'm not saying that he doesn't advocate for therapy. I've heard it before. And I understand that is a position that he does take. However, I believe that a lot of the women who call in already know that they need to be seeing, a licensed therapist or counselor or something.
I think that, thank you, Goldie, for your in-depth answer to Danny's questions. I do think that, namely Kevin is for entertainment. So of course he is not going to, dig deeper. He's not going to psychoanalyze. He does not have the education to education experience to kind of psychoanalyze and go deeper with the women who call his show. And of course, that's also not his purpose, nor do I believe that is his specific mission. When we talk about, and not to make the comparison, but if we talk about like Wendy Williams, and she is sort of gossip, tabloid, she is, critiquing people's lives, their relationships, what they do in their everyday life. And, she's of course not going deeper. She is talking about very surface level things. But my question.
Now, before she jump into this question, this is going to be very important. I want y'all to hear this too. I want to address Ms. Smith comment too. She says is that she keeps contradicting herself. Does this silencing petition even have a leg to stand on? To be honest with you, to answer that question from my personal perspective, no, it don't. Now, remember earlier when I was telling y'all from me personally that there are certain situations that I'll be unbiased about, and there are situations that I'll be totally biased about. Now, in this particular situation with her, I believe that she should have been very biased about by where she's standing with this petition is stand on it, regardless of the other stuff that was coming out for us, the therapy or whatever other stuff, or the good things that Kevin Samuels is doing. That shouldn't have been part of her argument. If they was if they was interviewing her and asking these triggering questions, saying, "Okay, Kevin Samuels saying this, how you feel about that?" She should still stand her ground on how what she believe in. If she feel like that the petition is valid, she needs to stand her ground on the petition date, the reason why it's valid, period. She don't need to say, well, yeah, I can see that. No, you're being unbiased now. You're not standing your ground on what you say. So now it make this petition started to lose on leg. It started to make this petition to lose strength. So now, instead of it being the actual argument where what she said originally is because it's causing violence towards women, now it's more on the lines of because Kevin Samuel said something that I didn't agree with, and I'm just saying my feelings type thing. That's what it sounded like to me. That's what it sounded like. But this part right here, what's gonna end up happening on this part is that she's physically ready to segue into another question, and this question is that she's physically ready to challenge Miss Jones about Cynthia G and Tanya TKAO and all of them about the rhetoric that they be pushing out there, and then they're gonna ask her what's the difference between what Kevin Samuel said versus what Cynthia G and all of them says. All right, and listen to what she got to say about this.
So that was just in response to what you shared. But my question is, do you find the likes of maybe a Cynthia G or women who would be alleged to speak ill of Black men as detrimental to Black men as you find Kevin's rhetoric to be a detriment to Black women?
I listen, like I said earlier, I listen to a variety of opinions, and I'm very familiar with Cynthia G. And, there's a stark contrast between Cynthia G and Kevin. Cynthia speaks from what I've seen about, things that have taken place in our community, things that are documented in news articles or in law proceedings or, just things that you can find along the internet and news media. Whereas Kevin kind of comes from, I don't want to say a more anecdotal space because he does state statistics for some things, but kind of like life's experiences. And usually those experiences are really negative, So yeah, I think that guys might not like to hear some things that Cynthia says, but they are, documented occurrences, things that took place and kind of are what they are. I understand, and from this whole petition thing blowing up, I understand that guys don't like to hear the reality of the world that we're living in today and their role in it, and kind of how they have allowed things to become what they are. But that's just what it is,
Now, y'all heard what she said, right? About the whole thing about Cynthia G and them. So she's saying now that everything that Cynthia G talks about on her platform, in other words, is very valid due to the fact that it speaks about real life situations. That it speaks about real life situations. So my question is, what makes Kevin Samuels' situation not real life? Because at the end of the day, Kevin Samuels is also speaking about real life situations. He is speaking from an area of truth about his life that he has experienced, and probably is currently experiencing right now. Same thing with the other content creators, Cynthia G, Tanya TKO, Naya. They're speaking about their truth and their experience. So in this situation right here, it appears that she's co-signing what Cynthia G and them is saying, but it's totally against what Kevin Samuels is saying. Please make it make sense, because it don't make sense to me. So she doesn't mind dividing men and women as a group as long as the rhetoric benefits women. Ms. Johnson, she also said on this interview that her page is really geared towards women, period. She made a comment. The reason why she made a comment is because the breakdown women perspective, they were sharing her link on the live, and they're saying, hey, if you want to go subscribe to her channel, then you go ahead and subscribe to it. And of course, they had both men and women on there as well in the chats. So she made that comment saying, well, my page is more geared towards women. I don't mind men being on that page, following my page, but it's really geared towards women. That's what she said. But to be honest, it appears that way, Ms. Johnson. It really do. It appears that way. You just going to stay solo, huh? I hear you on that. But yeah, this whole situation, it fascinates me a lot. And once again, she have not proven how everything that Kevin Samuels is talking about is violence against women. How's it creating violence against women? She haven't proven that yet so far. Miss Taya, welcome, Miss Chambers. She says this. He's speaking about situations from his own perspective, just as anyone else. However, projecting negativity on any level is not okay because it's toxic behavior. Now, Miss Chambers, I'm going to also have to agree to disagree with you on this, all right? Now, I agree with you on the part that you saying that he's speaking about situations from his own perspective, just like anyone else. I agree with you on that. But however, the part that you're talking about, he projecting negativity. However, projecting negativity on any level is not okay because it's toxic behavior. The reason why I'm a rebuttal you on that is because there's many other situations besides Kevin Samuels, besides Cynthia G and others. There are many other situations that are out there that projects negativity, but however, it is culturally acceptable. It is culturally acceptable. Case in point, the music industry project all types of negativity towards the one community. The music industry does that all the time, but however, it's culturally acceptable. You want to know why it's culturally acceptable? It's because it only applies to certain people, where if it's going to affect them negative or not. Now, there are some people who totally agree with Cardi B. There are certain people who totally agree with Meg Thee Stallion. Hot Girl Summer and everything. They totally agree with it. Rock her music and everything. Rock their music and everything. And the reason why is because they see, even though it's projecting negativity, they see it as being entertainment, so it doesn't affect their personal being mentally or spiritually. It doesn't. But however, on the flip side, there are other people when they listen to Cardi B or Meg Thee Stallion or any other of these type of artists that are out there, it affects them on a level because they allow it to enter into them mentally and spiritually. And thus it corrects that toxic behavior of what you're talking about. So yeah, it's levels to it. I feel we choose what we make as negative individually. I agree. I totally agree. And it applies to all. Okay. Yeah, I could agree. I could agree with you on that too. Culturally, once again, culturally acceptable still doesn't make it okay. Once again, I agree with you on that. I agree. But that depends on the individual in question. It is not a overall. It is not a overall status for the Black community. That's what I'm trying to tell you. It's not. It only affects certain people. Now, once again, when I was mentioning about the music industry and stuff like that, there are certain songs that I listen to. It don't bother me at all that I listen to it. It's either certain stuff with Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion that I listen to. It doesn't bother me. But at the same time, it's not really my cup of tea. But it doesn't put me into that space where, oh man, it's affecting everyone in the Black community. And it's causing everyone to be in an uproar. It's causing everyone to go and ride, and it's causing everyone to mistreat women. It's causing every man to go out here to be on drugs. Oh man, I have throughout my 40 years of living, I have not seen that. I have not seen that. Oh my bad, I'm just skipping all over y'all questions. Yes, I fully agree with that. As we evolve, hopefully more will realize that also, yeah? When we accept things because they're culturally acceptable, we foster a climate that creates stereotypes about genders and race. I agree with you on that. I agree. I can agree with you on that. Yeah, I like Cardi, Meg, and the City Girls, but I'm not trying to live their life. I mean, yeah, yeah. Oh, and I appreciate that, Miss Chambers. I appreciate it. Yep, about the WAP song. I did a video about the WAP song too, by the way. But yeah, at the end of the day, it's really just based on that individual, all right? So yeah, let's go ahead. Let's hear some more stuff that she got to talk about because it's like I say, it's interesting. It's very interesting.
Yeah, I think I have to say really quickly, and I just have a part two to the question. Really quick. Now I don't listen to Cynthia G regularly. I have listened to her in the past, a few of her shows, and or heard her on other people's panels that I did listen to very heavily. And I do hear her generalize. I hear her generalize, and she's not necessarily speaking about like specific things that are that are occurring in the community. She does generalize Black men a lot. So I just wanted to rebut your statement and kind of put that out there because, in all honesty, yeah, I've heard those generalizations a number of times from her. But I wanted to know, like, what you think about like censorship, because I know in my own personal opinion, censorship can be pretty dangerous when we talk about, if you think about.
Now this next part here, after she got to rebutting her statement, there she's going into the question about censorship. So she's going to ask her what is her perspective about censorship. And basically, censorship is dealing with the council culture, where people feel like that they have the power and the responsibility to counsel people that they don't agree with the certain truth that they put out there. So they finna get ready to address this, and Miss Jones, she's finna get ready to give her statement about how the way she feel about that. Now, keep in mind, once again, she have not proven the reason why she put the petition out there to begin with in the first place, and I'm just being real about it.
About like even YouTube censoring people who are subscribed to the flat earther theory or anti-vax people, or like typically, and not necessarily, I'm not a flat earther, don't necessarily believe that, but like there is something that you don't want other people to hear when you want to censor something, and a lot of people believe that you're wanting to censor it because there's truth in it and it could shed a negative light on said group. And I want to know your thoughts on that. If you do believe that censorship is dangerous, if you think that there are certain situations where censorship is okay, just I guess your general thoughts on censorship.
Okay. First, I want to go back to the comment about Cynthia G. Now, mind you, I don't think she knows who I am, right? I've listened to her, but like
I think she know who you is now, child. I think she know.
Yeah.
But I've listened to her, but like I've never conversed with her. Okay, but from, let's say, for example, there is a statistic where I think Kevin has mentioned this specifically, that there is a high number of quote unquote baby mamas, right, in our community, women, single mother women, and I think that statistic is around 72% or something like that. Kevin says that these women basically are, giving birth to children out of wedlock. Okay. And on the flip side, when Cynthia speaks about the reality as she sees it, using that same 72%, she can come to a conclusion. I haven't heard this specifically. I don't want to try to quote anybody specifically, neither Kevin nor Cynthia, but she can say that basically there's a 72% chance that if you are, sexually involved with the Black guy and you do get pregnant, there's a 72% chance that you will end up being a single mother. And I don't think that is, I don't think that's a misrepresentation. It might not feel good to hear that said out loud, but the reality is that it is what it is. Kevin can say that the women are 72% responsible for it, and then on the flip side, Cynthia can also say that the men are 72% responsible for it.
That's a skewed statistic anyway. It's like when you dive deeper into that statistic, it's a common talking point, but the statistic is skewed because it would make you believe that 72% of Black women are having babies and they're single. Number one, it's not 72% of Black women, it's 72% of the Black babies. Now, Black babies also includes babies that are biracial. So they would be included in that. And in addition, that means single, like unmarried, but that does not mean you're a single mother. Maybe you're partnered, you have a long-term relationship with someone. So I hate that statistic, and I understand what you're saying regarding how the statistic can be presented on both sides.
Now, remember when I was telling you earlier about the data and the statistics and everything that Kevin Samuels used, and now he's not the one who does that. Cynthia G, she quotes this. I can't even say it no more. She quotes the data. Cynthia G does it, and other content creators they do it as well. The reason why they do this is because they try to solidify their truth, to try to make it be actual facts. But they don't understand that data is not 100% facts neither. They don't understand that. Now, the reason why I know that the one data is not 100% fact is because when you go to college, no matter what course, what degree you go in college for, you have to take a data and research method class. You got to. It's required. Now, the data and research statistic class, research method class, all it is information that they put together about a certain case study. That's all it is, about a certain case study. That certain case study is in a controlled environment. There be some times where the case study could be in an uncontrolled environment. But however, in any case, all it is based on theory. All it is based on theory and probability. That's it. It's not 100% fact. Take for another example. Many of us, I think, what was it, last year, where we're required to fill out the U.S. Census. When they had all the household fill out the U.S. Census, even though they filled the U.S. Census out, that data still is not 100% facts because they didn't include data with people who just came into the country, who were immigrants who came into the country. They didn't include the data of people who just had babies. They didn't include it to the data of people who just died after filling out the census data, anything like that. But all it is theory. It's not 100% facts, and that's basically what Ms. Rose is saying right now is that this data, all it is not 100% facts. Like they trying to present it to be. Kevin Samuel, he does it all the time, and this is one of the areas I disagree with him on that. He'll go back and pull up the blackdemographics.com to this website and quote all this different data and say, it's facts. No, it is not facts. That is theory. It's not 100% facts. So that's why I wanted to bring that point up about that.
Yeah, because either way, even if it were a non-Black mom, it's still, the result of a child being created with a Black man, so
Right.
I think that, people are kind of mischaracterizing some of the things that Cynthia is saying. That's just my statement there. Now, when we talk about censorship, I don't really see the petition as quote unquote censorship. I see that it is a a rebuttal or a response to some really dangerous rhetoric that has been spewed by Kevin and the community that he belongs to. I see Kevin as kind of the leader of that community, and that community has, like I said, permeated almost.
Now I had to stop her right there because she made this false claim saying that Kevin Samuels is the leader of this community. Kevin Samuels is not the leader of the Manosphere or the Red Pill or anything like that. He's not. He is not. He is not. That just like saying the same statement that her and Cynthia G is the leader of the one feminist movement. When it's not a true statement at all. It's not true. Now, there are things that Kevin Samuel says that attracts that group, or that said group. Just like it's things that Cynthia G and them say that attracts the feminist group as well. But that doesn't mean that they're the leader of the group unless they literally declare themselves to be the leader of the said group, which I have not yet to heard Kevin Samuel said that he was the leader of the said group. I have not yet hear him to say that. And yes, Miss Smith, I left your statement up there because I'm going to address that too. Because yes, that's what she's doing. She's absolutely co-signing Cynthia G, saying that, hey, people just misunderstanding what Cynthia G is talking about. But what Kevin Samuel's saying, no, that's no misunderstanding. And that make it be unfair. Or as what Kevin Samuel say, that make it be disingenuous about the statement. It does. It make the statement disingenuous. But yeah, we almost done, y'all. We almost done.
Every facet of daily life for all of us. So I just see it as, a way to kind of resolve the threat as it relates and is targeted to that specific demographic. I do think that there is I know that there's a right to freedom of speech, and I'm not contesting that. However, when that right infringes on another demographic safety, then we really have to be honest about what it is. We really have to be honest about the fact that that there is a responsibility from all of us to each other when we talk about freedom of speech and the reality that censorship occurs when your speech makes others unsafe.
Now, this part right here, they first get ready to segue into the next question. This question is going to be the most important question that they ask her. Every question that they asked her so far, it was great questions. But this question right here is going to be very important because this question is going to deal with what is her reason for the petition to begin in the first place. Now, once again, I told y'all earlier that she stated in her petition that the number one reason, and she just said it a few minutes ago, the number one reason about her petition is that it corrects violence against women or violence against Black women. That's a very reason for the petition. Now, they're fixing to get ready. They fixing to get ready to challenge her on that right now.
Okay. And I'm glad you said that because that's the next area that I wanted to go in. In your petition, you specifically said acts of violence, sexually predatory behavior, and even death has been documented stemming from Mr. Samuels and his community of followers has spewed rhetoric in the last 12 months. Will you cite any sources from that? Because I when I read that, I was like, okay, now, to me, if a person is talking rough to me or like saying something that I don't like, I don't consider that violence. But now, if I do go on a panel and I'm having a discussion and people are up there calling me all kind of bitches and hoes, I still wouldn't consider that violence. I would consider that bad language. But I wanted you to clarify the sexually predatory behavior, especially the death part that you said stemmed from Kevin Samuels and his followers.
Yeah, there is a statistic, I think I would consider it to be a statistic where a Black woman is killed every 19 hours, I think it is. As of this day, I think, or this time in 2021, more than 800 women have been killed. 800 Black women have been killed by their intimate partner. And I have to go back into the statistics, but a significant number of those who have committed those crimes are Black men. I can't give you a specific name at this time, but I can follow up with you if that's something that I need to do.
The reason why she can't give that statistic because that data is not even available. Even from that point or that perspective, that the data is not even available for her to even rebut on that. So therefore, what she's saying is that she just pretty much speaking from her personal truth and try to use data and statistics to try to validify her petition. But so far, once again, she's not proving why. And she can't prove why because it ain't out there. Because at the end of the day, the truth that Kevin Samuels is talking about has not in any way caused any type of crime against Black women, period, as she's stating, or against women of color, period, as she's saying. It haven't happened. Now, once again, like I said earlier, there are domestic violent crimes that are happening. I agree to that. But it is not because of Kevin Samuels. It's because it's been out there. It's because these men, and it could be women too, out there too, choose to commit these acts of violence versus physically, mentally, or spiritual abuse towards the said person, because they chose to do that, not because of in the name of Kevin Samuels. But let us continue.
I think that the conversation, the breeding ground is what is contributing to all of that. When we speak of the threats of violence, I've heard Kevin say himself on his streams, he'll say something like, well, if he could knock your teeth out your mouth or rearrange the furniture in your mouth, would do the same things. And, maybe Kevin wouldn't consider, actually knocking somebody's teeth out their mouth or rearranging the furniture in their mouth. But one of his, millions of subscribers that hear him might actually consider that, and, it may never be revealed that, that a person heard them say that and thought that that could be a viable option. So when we speak about the deaths of women, the fantasies of death to women, there was a conversation. I don't know if it was after the average at best thing, but there was a conversation in the community for a little while about how women weren't needed, like men could exist without women ever, being here, unless they wanted to use us for procreation. They wouldn't need us unless they wanted to create a child. They could perfectly exist well without any woman ever being present, unless.
Now, this rebuttal that she's saying right now, Kevin Samuels never said this because I didn't listen to a lot of Kevin Samuel content. I didn't read a lot of it. Kevin Samuels never made this point, period. But however, members of the Red Pill movement and the Manosphere have made this comment. They have said it. But however, it has nothing to do with what Kevin Samuels said. That is them people of that said group that said that. All right, which that's the brain balance to it. Feminists, the people who are part of the feminist movement, say the same exact thing. There are many women who are part of the feminist movement say the same exact thing.
They needed to, create a child or whatever. So, that was a full conversation that took place for, quite a few of his streams where he, created this world, this fictitious world where women didn't exist, and made sure to drive the point home that we didn't need women in this world to exist, or men didn't need women in this world to exist.
Did that answer your question, Danny?
I would say that it answered some of it, because I really wanted to hear, like when you say that somebody has kind of it's almost like yelling fire in a movie theater. When you say stuff like a person has been a part of a community that's contributed to death, then I would ask, okay, in the last year, we've had people losing their jobs. We've had the coronavirus. We've had this pandemic has been really, really detrimental to a lot of people. People being out of work. Spouses, husbands, and wives have really had to be with each other because a lot of people have been working from home. And so, to me, there would be other factors that would contribute to a lot of the behaviors as opposed to one man's rhetoric. And that's kind of where my thought process went when I thought about it. So it kind of answered my question a little bit, but I would have wanted to hear like specific statistics to where you would say, okay, some of his rhetoric has led to the death of Black women.
So you're specifically talking about the portion of your question relating to people, Black women, their lives being in danger or them like the violence causing death. I think she answered the part or even the other part of the question.
And then the other thing was like the sexually predatory behavior. Would you give us some clarification about that?
Yeah. So when we talk about the last 12 months, we all kind of have been like in a really stressful situation, right? It's like something that was like unforeseen and like none of us have really, experienced anything like this before. And, some of us, well, most of us were forced to spend more time in a confined environment like a home than we previously ever had been forced to. And we have to be honest and say that is when, Kevin really, really took off. There was, he already had momentum going into the pandemic and everything. But the last year and a half kind of, gave more time to that message to kind of permeate and sink in and everything. So yeah, I think that while we have seen the violence on the rise in the last year or so, we have to also acknowledge that the messaging got stronger and louder and more present within the last year or so as well. When I speak in terms of the sexual predatory behavior, Kevin does represent a community, and we know that that he represents that community, right? And part of Kevin's advice is for older men, 50-year-old men, to pursue 20-year-old women or 25-year-old women, really young women that don't know much about life, haven't lived, much life. And these guys know that these women don't know much, haven't experienced much. And they know that they are far, far, far advanced as it relates to this woman's cognitive reasoning ability and understanding of how the world, quote unquote, works, and how he does, right? So when we think about the promotion of older men, 50-year-old men dating very young women, I consider that to be predatory in nature, because there are really quality women that are closer to their age range, available and single, and interested in marriage. And to intentionally go after really young, inexperienced women leads me to see that as somewhat predatory.
I have a question for you, Goldie. And this was not my original question, but just to piggyback off of what you just said, do you find it equally as predatory when young women are going after old men for their pockets, like for the sugar babies? Do you find them as predatory as well?
I know y'all are eager to hear what she got to say about this question, and I'm gonna let y'all hear this, but I just want to jump on her real quick. I'm gonna let y'all hear from the horse's mouth about this because this will, to me, I'm gonna let y'all hear it. I'm gonna let y'all hear it.
I never really thought about that because a woman, a young woman who is pursuing an older woman for money and stuff, kind of is more advanced than a younger woman who is just, minding her business, living her little 20-year-old life and is approached by a man who has the resources and everything to kind of get her attention. So I think a lot of times we, from what I've seen since this petition has come out, guys, kind of put the shoe on the other foot, quote unquote, and ask if it would be the same thing if a woman did X, Y, and Z. But that's not really what is not really what the focus of the conversation is on, or really the reality of the conversation. The reality is those young women who pursue older men for money are more advanced. They've seen more, they've experienced more. And even those women, as much as experienced as they are, still can be taken advantage of by that older man, So whether she be very...
Oh man. Okay. So in other words, throughout all the dancing around with the question, she's saying that it's different it's different. When the older men do it, that's predatory. But when it be the younger women who are actually pursuing the older dudes, then it's pretty much it's fine. For the simple fact that they been developed, they got developed sooner than when they're supposed to be, and all that good old rhetoric that she was talking about. That's basically what she was saying. That's basically what she's talking about. Do I agree with that? Absolutely, I don't agree with that. That's crazy. But let us continue.
I agree. It's a different, but the reason that I asked the questions is because I guess knowing this space, they want to be able to examine things from the other side too, in order to determine if they feel if someone is being hypocritical. So that's the reason that I asked that question, and I understand your response. I think that there are, when we think about just giving an example that everyone can pull from. What's his name? J. Alexander Smith and Anna Nicole. Like, there are women who are literally trolling to take advantage of men who and it's because these women know the game. And there are some men that are unassuming. When we talk about some of these older men, they're unassuming. They don't know the game. They, of course, don't mind. They want a trophy. They don't mind spending and splurging on you. But these women are like well equipped with the knowledge of how to get a man to break bread, how to take a man for everything he has. So there are women that just have these ulterior motives, and they are leading with those ulterior motives in order to take advantage of older men too. But so I just wanted to examine it from the other side, because I know this space and kind of how they think, and they want to know if you're fair and impartial on both sides. So that's kind of where some of the questions are coming from.
But Jay Alexander and Kevin's audience are kind of two different kinds of men, right?
No, yeah. That's what I'm saying. I was just and I just gave a broad example that everyone understood. So I talked about Anna Nicole because she was like, that was her shtick. But I understand that there is a complete separation of the two, but I just my question was to examine it from the other side.
Now, I was familiar with Anna Nicole back in the day. I was much younger. So again, I might not have quote unquote known the ways of the world during that time. And maybe seen that she was pursuing him specifically for money. What I saw was a really, really old man. I mean, 70 or 80 years old. He was old as ever. And they probably connected through their social circles, right? Because she was a model and celebrity and stuff. So like they probably were able, I don't know for sure, able to connect in their social circles. Whereas in the community that Kevin comes from, and the audience of men that he speaks to, these men are intentionally, stacking resources or finding way to gain, income, resources, and everything, and then pursuing younger, impoverished, women who want a better life. They talk about pursuing women of other countries, that are third world countries. These women are dirt poor. They advocate for getting your resources up and then going and, getting one of those women just because, that woman is young and, he kind of can run circles around her, so I kind of feel that that's where the predatory behavior comes from.
And I understand that. And I don't want to focus, on Anna Nicole Smith solely. I just thought of the first example that popped in my head. But I do think by the time they met, that her Playboy career and acting was like well over. I do believe that she was like seeking out someone who was fortunate to take care of her, which could also be deemed as predatory. But I understand where you're going. And I think that you're very good at kind of highlighting the specifics as it relates to why you've concluded what you've concluded. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I understand too. Thank you.
All right. So what y'all think about that? What do y'all think? Do y'all think that she eloquently revealed the reason why that this petition is necessary? Do y'all think that she revealed the reasoning for this petition, that Kevin Samuels is preaching all this violence towards women of color or black women, and his platform needs to be put down like a dog? Do y'all think that? Do y'all think she gave a reasonable and logical conclusion to why she created this petition? I'm gonna give y'all my final thoughts about this, because this whole interview it is about 2 hours long, and just like I stated at the beginning, I just wanted to just get the highlights of it. Now, once again, this is coming from the breakdown women's perspective. They the ones who decide to do this interview with Ms. Jones. So if you're not following their page, I do recommend you go ahead and follow it, because I follow their page, and they do be having some pretty interesting topics that they cover. And I also like they interview styles as well. And it's like this with whoever they interview with, they have a really good interview style that I honestly respect about it. So if you're not doing that, go ahead and follow their content as well, okay? So before I give you my final thoughts about this, I want to go ahead and just fast forward towards the end of this, right? So towards the end, they're gonna ask her. They're gonna ask her what would be accomplished. What do you feel would be accomplished after when Kevin Samuels is canceled from all this platform? What is your feelings behind it? Once when he get canceled, they cancel him all the way out. Kevin Samuels is no longer in the picture. What's going to happen? How you feel about that? What's going to be the end result behind that? And so let me get to that, and we're going to hear what she had to say,
which will be just in a few minutes.
Yeah, thank you. If if Kevin Samuel's channel gets taken down, um, what do you think that would accomplish?
Ultimately, I feel that it would start the conversation that, derogatory statements inciting violence against women, attacking women or whatever, those statements aren't to be tolerated, right? So many times, I think that historically Black women have kind of turned a blind eye to the public mistreatment from Black men and the quote unquote tough love from Black men in view of the world. But I think that if he were to, be removed from this easily accessible platform like YouTube and like Instagram, then it will show that, that type of rhetoric just isn't to be tolerated. Aside from my goal there, I also am interested in working with some state and federal legislators so that we can have some enhancement around sentencing for domestic violence convictions and things like that, just so that we can further send the message that, abuse, domestic abuse, violence, that type of language and rhetoric has real world implications and they won't be taken lightly.
Okay. Okay. Well, Goldie, that was, yeah, it answered.
I got one more too.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So my final question, I just want to know, Goldie, from you, like, what is the appropriate recourse that you think men should employ or exercise regarding their disdain or their disappointment in Black women, regarding their concerns for the community? Do you think that they should just, exercise SYSBM as an appropriate action? Do you think, like, what would be the appropriate response to what they feel is negative behavior coming from Black women that negatively impacts the community? What do you think Black men should do?
Going back to my initial statements, I view men as the leader, right? I view men as being in charge. They set the tone, they set the direction. It's kind of like up to them. The environment that they create is what we will have. A lot of times I say that you can look out your window and kind of see the kind of community that Black men have created. And when we look out our windows in our communities, what do you see? Black men are largely responsible for what it is that we see. So what I would encourage Black men to do is to really step into their higher nature, become their best selves, and becoming that depiction of their higher nature, their best selves, the women and children will naturally fall into place, right? When men show other men holding men accountable and not, criticizing or making excuses through the women or what women do or women's behavior, but when men really take accountability and responsibility for their own actions, their own image, their own words, and how those words make and how those words create a reality for the women and children that live in that world, I think that things will improve by leaps and bounds in just a short amount of time. So what I would encourage men to do is to really begin to take an introspective look. It's really easy to say what women aren't doing or what women haven't done correctly. But I would encourage men to really take some time and look within and determine what are some things that we can be better at? What are some things that we could do better? Where are some areas that we can improve in? What are some mistakes that we're making? What, just really ask those questions and commit to doing the work necessary to improve. It seems from Kevin's rhetoric, over the last year or so, and then the tone of the community that he comes from, that men are, for lack of a better term, above reproach, as if they don't have any room for improvement, as if they aren't making any mistakes, as if they cannot be better than who they are today. And I think that ultimately that serves as a disservice for all of us, because like I said, the women and children are depending on the guys to get it right, for so many years. Men have been silent. I saw one of the comments speaking about my video about men being asleep for the past 30 years. For the past 30 or 40 years, or however long you want to go back, men have been silent to the injustices inflicted upon themselves and even their women and children, and the reality that has created for all of us. If men could step up and be more vocal about what's right and be in a position to take advantage of those opportunities and spread those resources when they are available and yada, 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 it just would improve the women that they complain about, the children that the women give birth to, in the community that we all live in. So yeah, I would encourage men to really take a look within and see how they can make improvement.
Well, how do you feel about by her her statement there? Do you feel that her statement is valid as far as the reproach for us, the end result? How y'all feel about that? Dr. Jefferson, hi. But how do y'all feel about that? So is what she's saying, is it valid? Let me pull this back up one more time. Then I'm gonna show you my perspective about this, and we'll be done. Now, once again, I'd like to thank everyone who been joining with me right now. I appreciate that. I appreciate y'all liking and following and sharing and doing all that good old stuff. I appreciate your participation in it as well. And also shout out to the Breakdown of Woman's Perspective, because they were the one who interviewed Miss Jones today. This interview it occurred about almost 3 hours ago. They did an interview with her. So once again, the whole point of this petition is focused on the acts of violence. The acts of violence, sexually predatory behavior, and even death that that Kevin Samuels and his community has caused. That's the whole point of that. That's the whole point of this petition. And it's getting up to about 15,749 people who are signing this. So here's my overall perspective about this. I feel that Ms. Jones' validity for us putting this petition together based on based on what she said. Can y'all hear me now? Yeah, because Ms. Jefferson said my sound went out. Yeah, if I can hear me now, do a thumbs up or whatever, or just tell me you can hear me. Oh, you can hear me. Okay, cool. Now, my whole perspective about this is that throughout the whole entire interview, Ms. Jones did not prove how Kevin Samuels' truth is causing violence towards women. She didn't. She didn't prove it at all. At the end of the day, everything she was saying was based on her truth and based on her personal perspective. It wasn't facts at all that she was talking about. It wasn't. So does me viewing this information and viewing what it is and the reason why for it, I take the stance on it that this petition ain't even valid. Now it'd been different if she had created a petition saying that Kevin Samuels is saying certain things that people just don't agree with, and you're trying to petition them that way or try to do the cancel culture that way, they'll be more understandable. It's not facts, but it'll be more understandable. But when you create a petition and using the notion that this is violence towards women, period, then yeah, I disagree with that because it's not. This single man has not caused any type of violence towards women. This single man and the truth that he's speaking about has not caused no type of violence against women. It hasn't. I haven't seen it. Just like say he's speaking his truth. But I have not seen no type of news report saying that today a young African American woman was murdered today because of the culprit or the perpetrator was speaking Kevin Samuels Reddit. I haven't seen it. Now she do have validity for us when she was talking about the certain group that are associated with the truth that Kevin Samuels is talking about, which is the red pill and the manosphere and stuff. Yeah, she has some validity in that because them type of said groups do say some of the stuff that she was saying. They do. But at the same time, on the flip side, Cynthia G, Tanya TKO, and all them, they say the same exact thing what Kevin Samuels was saying, but in reverse. And the feminist groups do the same exact thing too. So my stance on this is that once again, this petition, it doesn't have any validity whatsoever to cause this man to be counseled because of violence. It don't. I don't see no reason behind it. I see absolutely no reason behind it. Now, also, it would have been different if she would have created a petition for the manosphere or the red pill group. That would have been different. She'll create a petition saying, hey, these groups right here, they create acts against violence. They be saying all these things that are violent against women. That'd be different versus one man. Versus one man. Now, another thing that Kevin Samuels needs to clear up for us, his truth, is that he needs to clear up where if he's still affiliated with the Manosphere or the Red Pill movement. He needs to clear that up. If he's part of that set group, then he needs to say that. If he's not, then I feel that he needs to say that because he do have members of that group supporting him. Yeah, he absolutely needs to clear that up. Because out of every show that I seen Kevin Samuels did, to be honest, and that's for us my truth, I have not yet to hear Kevin Samuels say that he's part of the Manosphere or he's part of the Red Pill movement or anything like that. I have not yet heard that come out of his mouth, unless I missed something. And I have watched a lot of his content. And I have not yet heard that come out of his mouth. The only young group that I heard come out of his mouth that was close is where he was on Vlad TV and he was talking about the LGBT group. That's the only time I heard him say anything about a set group. But if he have, I would love for y'all to share that with me. Because if he have, then I'll retract what I say and I'll share it. I have no problem with that. I have absolutely no problem with that whatsoever. So hold up. Let me do this real quick. I wasn't going to do it, but since Dr. J on here, she's eager to get up here and say what she got to say. I'm gonna drop the link. Y'all could jump up here real quick, and we'll be done. But once again, I appreciate every last one of y'all who been tuning in today. This is been very interesting to me. This has been very interesting to me. Don't be trying to cap. You know you want to come up here, Dr. J. Don't be trying to cap. But this been very interesting to me. Very enlightening. Very enlightening. So I want to ask y'all this too. Do y'all feel that you need to support this petition now after the information that I presented with y'all? And I'm talking about supporting the petition, not to cancel Kevin Samuels, not because of the stuff he say, but I'm talking about strictly because of what Ms. Jones said, because he is creating violence against women. Physically, mentally, spiritually. Do y'all feel like y'all need to support this? I say no. Because her whole information is not the truth. And she don't have no type of documents, no nothing to prove it otherwise. If she had receipts to prove that he's doing this, then yeah, I mean, yeah. But she don't. What up, Dr. J?
What's going on? How is my sound?
Oh, you cool.
Okay, excellent. Kind of on a road trip, go out of town. But I was listening, and you know what? Here's the thing. I haven't really looked at this petition and given it any actual, you know, I didn't dive deep into it. So this is my first time even hearing a young lady talk about her petition in general. Um, And it was interesting when I was listening some of the content, that was being reviewed. And I think that she, like everybody else, like I get it, I understand you feel a certain way about this particular group. He's out there spewing negative antics about, black women, things like that. But everybody has a right to their own opinion. So I don't feel like Kevin Samuels should be canceled, but I do feel like it's a necessity when black people in general are having a serious issue when it comes to the sustaining of culture. I think it's necessary that we address the issues that are affecting the black community, especially when we talk about hate tactics, hate antics, stuff like that. So I feel like Kevin Samuels, along with the rest of the manosphere, Cynthia G, along with the rest of the black woman sphere, I feel like all of these people they're both on opposing sides of the same type of negative rhetoric.
Yeah, I can absolutely agree with that. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yeah, I can absolutely agree with that. I can absolutely agree with everything that you said, because both of these groups is pretty much is the same. Just like I stated the last time about this situation, that they're on the same coin being flipped in the air, but they both on the same type of coin at the end of the day.
Yeah, I just feel like the negativity has got to end. I think it begins with proper education and insight of black people. I think a lack of culture and a lack of conditioning as it relates to culture has a lot to do with this negative energy moving forward, in the black and brown community. And I think that once we start adapting to acceptance of our culture for what it is, and cultivating our subculture as black Americans, based on our actual history instead of kind of moving towards excuses and things like that. I feel like this race card, I feel like there are a lot of things that black people do that are to the detriment to themselves, like all of that self-injury, self-hate tactics and things like that. We got to get out of our own way, so that's what it is.
Yeah, once again, absolutely, I agree with that totally. Because at the end of the day, that's what it all boils down to. It just boils down to personal accountability and community accountability as well.
And mutual appreciation and respect. I think
Hmm.
that when we start to respect one another, when we start to respect ourselves and then act accordingly, I think that these types of behaviors, these types of rhetoric will disappear.
Absolutely. We got mad up now. What's up, man? Are you mad about this? Well, mad was up.
They still view it.
Yeah, you probably still mute.
Yeah, but I think that's kind of like the primary thing that needs to be adjusted. I think we just have to be more respectful. And what I tell people is all the time: stop looking for the excuses and start looking for the exception and be the exception. because the more we look for the negative connotations, the more we look for the negative aspects, negative characteristics in other things and other people, the more we'll see those things. So if we continue to highlight those things, and the thing is, that's what Kevin Samuels gets off on. So if he's only looking for the negative, how can you expect for his channel to say anything positive as it relates to Black women? Everybody needs a platform to be able to voice their opinion. Unfortunately, the nature of Black people in general, whether it's Black American people, brown melanated people in Brazil, brown melanated people in Europe, Mexico, wherever, we have a natural tendency to gravitate to negativity.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
Period. Human beings in general are entertained by negativity, fights, discord. That's just the natural. That's why WWE is so big. Even though it's scripted, that's what it is. That's why reality TV is so big. Even though it's scripted, we like to see the detriment of people happen, unfold, you know what I mean, unveil itself right in front of us, and that's what we're entertained by. So I think that we have to be asking the questions, the bigger questions. Why is it that we don't celebrate the successes of people and the abundance in which we celebrate the negativity?
Yep. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I also mentioned that as well about by our behavior, how we are more attracted to, the negative things. You mentioned about the WWE. There are other things too as well, like watching action movies with all this acts of violence against each other. Where we gravitate towards that, and there's other things as well. But then I say a lot of it is based on the certain truths, but it's not the actual full reality of everything. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I think that some of it is based off of the climaxes of, of our truth of our lives, of the centralized theme of our life. But I think that some of it is based off of what we would like to see happen as a result of our brokenness. So the
Yeah.
way we respond to pain is always negative, and it's very unlikely, highly unlikely that people respond to pain appropriately, process it, store it in its appropriation, learn from those lessons, and apply those lessons to future endeavors and future encounters. So what I like to say is this, if people started operating from a place of proper distress management and see things for what they are and just all those things change and move into a place where you can reshape behaviors if they go against your overall objective, then we operate more appropriate with each other as well. You see what I'm saying? So it does start with the introspective work. So if we address our flaws independently, we don't have to worry about being emotionally reactive to other people addressing those flaws and saying negative things or, promoting negative connotations, associated with those things. So you got to let people live their life and be what they'll be. Believe people in their truth and don't make your truth the centralized thing focus of their lives. Because I see that a lot. Like, even last night, we're watching this thing about the show I did last night. We talked about, a couple of men who came on, shared their stories about their infidelity to their wives. You got people talking about, oh, these guys are lying. How would you know? Right? So that goes to the overgeneralization of how we move and how we see the world around us. We can't accept the fact that we can have different perspectives than other people. It doesn't make
Mm-hmm.
us less valid if other people have different experiences than we believe people should have or operate from.
Yep. Yeah, that's true. Um, I like to acknowledge that the Joker is on here right now. Hey, I appreciate you tuning in. I appreciate you sharing the content. And Miss Lisa, I appreciate you being on here as well too. I appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all a whole lot. And we currently got Dr. Jefferson. She's on the panel. Sound like she's in the Too Fast, Too Furious movie, but it's okay. We rocking with it. And we got Mad Militant. He's up here as well. But
Yeah, buddy.
oh, there you go. He's here.
Yeah, buddy. What's going on? Salute Joker, Forever Lisa. Uh, man, I was in and out a lot, you know what I'm saying, watching this. But it's like I'm not understanding as far as what are they after this guy for real? So some girl killed somebody. I mean, she killed herself or killed somebody or something. Is that what you said?
No. The whole point of this petition, she's saying that Kevin Samuels' words of his speech is causing domestic violence towards women, acts of violence towards women. And so that's the whole reason why she created this petition to begin with in the first place and trying to get him counseled. But however, she just today, she actually did this interview with the breakdown woman's perspective earlier today, around about almost like about 3 or 4 hours ago. She did this interview with them. And on her interview, she was basically saying things that was contradictory towards the actual petition itself. So in other words, she does sound like everybody else that she doesn't agree with what he's saying and does feel like he needs to be counseled.
That is insane. Why do it seem like a lot of these women are worrying more about men instead of worrying about the girls and these other women out here in this country? It seems like all the focus seemed to be going towards men. But when we see these girls out here in these streets, man, they are off the charts. And still, like we mentioned earlier, I don't know if you was on the premiere earlier and stuff. The women have us outnumbered 5-6 to 1. So how it seemed like we have so much power over them when they actually doing the more destruction that I'm seeing.
So let me ask the question. I think that's interesting that you brought that up. So as a male, what do you see your position in life as it relates to women?
As it relates to women, I mean, a leader, provider, maintenance man, security man, all kinds of stuff. I mean, all the above.
What
But that's
about
just
you?
to my woman. I'm not talking about nobody else's woman. I'm talking about for my woman. You know,
Okay, but I
it could be.
mean women in general.
I can't speak for women in general. I'm only me, and I can only speak for the one that I do something for.
Okay, so official urban therapist, how do you view your position as a man in relation to women in general?
To be quite honest with you, my stance is the same with Matt. For us, my personal space, I'm all them things that I need to be for as a leader, provider, and all them other things. But for us, the whole generalization of women, period. I don't know. I really can't answer that question because there's different levels and there's different perspective based on how the way the woman is viewing the position of the man.
So for both of you, you think that a woman determines what a man's role is in life and in society in general?
If she's listening to other people and not going off of what naturally she really needs. Because some people need a whole lot of different other things, but if you confuse them with a whole bunch of other definitions, they might be looking for stuff they actually don't need or don't fit them.
Okay, so men who are in leadership positions in countries where the vast majority of those countries are women, according to you, do you think that they held the same perspectives that you do? Black men, more specifically.
As far as black men perspective, as far as leading country, I'm pretty sure they would have to because that's the role that they're filling as far as a leader. You know, I mean, I've seen plenty of women leader, warriors, queens, and all kind of stuff throughout time. So I think it's just a position, but I think now at this point, it's like we're trying to make, we're not making sense of what's really in front of us. It's like we're trying to make the other side do what they want them to do and not what really makes sense to do to your situation. And that could be holding a lot of people back.
Okay, so based on your response, though, you don't feel like men have a position of leadership in relation to women in general. Is that correct?
Uh,
So men only are responsible for their
which,
intimate responsibilities. So they're the women that are a part of their family,
now,
personal
now,
fulfillment.
now, you're a woman. Answer this question: how many men can tell you what to do? Our
Wait,
problem is,
first answer that question, and then I'll answer yours.
I mean,
But
okay,
first answer that question.
I'm asking and answering at the same time. A lot of these women can't be led. So with me saying that, it's hard to do a lot of our things if they want to be so independent in other things. That makes it a whole lot harder on us because now we have to fit a different script from what you gave us if these women are so independent. So that means you would have to
Okay,
get in where you fit
so
in naturally.
okay, but still, that goes back to my original question. Do you only feel like men are only responsible for the women who are under their care? So, do you feel like men
uh,
in general, black men in
no,
general,
you
have
should be
no
responsible for
responsibility
whoever's
for
in your
women as a
community.
whole?
In the long run, you should be responsible for whoever's around you in your community, your family and community. You know, but your main task is yours. You know what I'm saying? I can't be all the way fully responsible for my neighbor's chick or the person down the street's chick. You know what I'm saying? No man have to do whatever they need to do. But when it comes to the outside and things being on the outside or something attacking our community, yes, you're supposed to be standing up for all you women.
So that you realize that goes against the, the framework of what you previously said.
And what is that?
Previously said that men don't have a responsibility to women outside of their primary system. So
I
their
mean,
woman, their children. So that would mean that
I
under no circumstance, that's what I meant by, and I reiterated and I said in general. So that would be by default, men don't have any responsibility to women in their community in general because these women are not their women per se.
I said all that.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh, uh,
I'm tracking. I'm pretty good. That's
what you
kind of
call?
what I do for a
Yeah,
living.
I
Okay.
and I know you're good at trickery with words. So I'm watching you very closely. You ain't gonna get me like Money Boy. So, oh, and I'm a street dude. I pay close attention to words. So, I mean, what I'm saying is, everybody, as a man, you're responsible for your woman. You know what I'm saying? What we're losing is we feel that we're not responsible for which call, but women are in control over that because they took so much away from us. I mean,
That's interesting. That's
women has
interesting
taken a lot of
perspective.
power. Women has took a lot of power away from the man. What you think that independent run was? That took a lot of power away from us. And if it's very minimum of us, you know what I'm saying? The good guys, most of the good guys are taken for. So what did that leave?
Hey, before you comment, there's this person named Reese that's trying to come up on the panel. I don't know who you are, if you're a man or a woman or whatever stuff, but I'm not going to bring you on unless you cam up. You got cam up. If not, then I'm going to remove you. Oh, y'all go ahead.
What's their name?
Uh,
Oh, Reese.
Never heard of that one.
So,
But yeah,
so
yeah,
basically,
they
what
left.
I'm saying in my question, asking you guys, both of you had this, which was not for women in general, or black women in general, that you are basing that off of a woman's position to give you that responsibility over her, and I guess your reference to independence of a woman says that you feel like the independence of a woman removes the authority of a man. So I'm going to ask, am I getting that right before I respond to your question?
Yes,
Because
you
that's
get.
going to answer your
Yeah,
question.
yes, you getting that right. But let me go in a little deeper. As far as what I'm saying is, the independence has made it harder for us, but independence might be over exaggerated in the woman's mind. So that kind of really because we already know that they need us for a lot of stuff. But still, if they sit there and they keep screaming independence, I don't need no man for this. I got my 2 kids. I got a roof over their head, this and that, this and that. You know what I'm saying? What comes out of their mouth is showing that they really don't need us. And that dude causes a disruption, if I'm saying that right.
Okay, so that's not necessarily here nor there. So do you think that, let me answer your question first. So your question was, do I listen to the advisement of men? So I've been under the leadership of several men in my life that were not my personal men in my life. I am a retired colonel in the United States Army and Secret Service.
I'm not talking about like that.
So
We're talking about
as I'm
relationship.
serving my country. Well, no, it's not. No, it wasn't about relationships.
Holy
I asked
moly.
about the leadership position of men. That was my question.
Well, I had a woman boss out
Yeah, but I
throughout
asked
my
you 2
life. I
times,
still had to
and
do what she had to do. Yes, I'm sorry. Go ahead. That didn't make sense though.
So being in positions where a woman must acquiesce to the man has nothing to do with the mindset of the woman. It has to do with obligations. The same thing has to do with the man. So if you tell me that you believe that women have an innate need for a man, but your actions don't align with that, and then you go and you make a statement like a woman is not submitting to my authority, and I have to wait for her to give me that leadership position in her life in order for me to be in that position. Or if you say that women's mindset don't allow them to follow my lead, those are 2 contradictory statements. So what I'm saying is, a man will be a man will be a man will be a man. So regardless of what country you're in, what subculture within that country you're in, men still have a prevalent voice that shapes the behaviors of women and men. So if we are to say that these women are off the chain, their behaviors are hypersexual, their behaviors are off the chain, it is men that need to reel these women back in. Because it is men, not only do they desire in the long run, according to your rhetoric, according to your framework of your thoughts. Because if women have an innate need for men, regardless of how many men are available for them, they have to at some point realign themselves with the constructs that are set by man. Whether it's set forcefully, disrespectfully, or otherwise. Men have always held a voice of authority, a position of leadership, whether they were in slavery or out of slavery. There is a huge misconceptualization that Black people have of what slavery looked like. I hear it all the time, spoken by Cynthia G. It's said that people do that, but the reality is this. It doesn't matter what type of man you are, what color man you are, a man is still a man. And if a man believes within himself that he is a leader, if a man believes within himself that he's positioned at the head of systems, a man will operate regardless of what another person's belief system is.
See, and all that sounds good, but all you trying to do is get us fucked up. Because you can come at us like that, and we can go out there and do all that stuff, and still nobody talk to these ratchet ass women who's predetermined in their head, you know what I'm saying, that they just the shit. You know what I'm saying? They like I was saying in the chat, it's like we steady getting everything pointed at us, but still nobody's trying to correct the ship on your side. Still, we got to deal with these ratchet ass hookers. You know what I'm saying? That has no knowledge about nothing. We're getting all the knowledge and we're told what to do, but they get nothing. Where's the women at going after these women? Or should men be going after these women because women are coming after us?
Essentially, men should. Men are the leaders of the system. So Kevin Samuels has a show where Kevin Samuels speaks for and realigns several different women, but he doesn't realign women that are whores, sex workers. Can we agree on that?
You say he got sex workers? It's hard to hear you. You got turbines or something running in your back.
I know, we're on the road. But so He does not. He has a show. He has a platform. He realigns certain women, so your everyday modern woman, but he does not realign the ideas, pragmatic, just skimmers around whore. Interview with
Oh,
Jasmine is a great way for us to sum it up. But he's had several interviews with other sex workers as well. Interview with the female's ex-porn star or current porn star thinking about leaving porn behind, asking whether or not she qualifies for a high-value man. He tells her, of course you qualify for a high-value man. You don't have to work a day in your life. A man will value you. He will, as long as you are willing to give him his legacy and sit at home and not work, he'll take care of you. How many videos do you have out there? How much money have you made as a result of it? Same conversation. Lay woman, regular woman, body count low, widower,
But how is
widowed
that help?
woman.
How is talking to her
It's a
going to help
different dynamic.
that? How is
So he
that? How is
realigns her with pragmatics, saying that because she has the same amount of kids as the woman that was a prostitute, well, not prostitute, you can say sex worker, but on television, porn star. He says that even though they have the same amount of kids, her likelihood of getting a high value man is low. His realigning this woman, which is the modern woman with a child as well, but has no sex industry experience, has a low propensity to get a man. As a result, she submits. She should be respectful, but she also should look forward to working, continuing to work her job, so that she can provide a portion of the household stability and income, versus that of the woman that was the previous foreign worker. My point is this: if you say that the whores are your problem, but you're advocating for a person like Kevin Samuels to continue his rhetoric, he is the person that's continuing to push whores out there. I'm
I
just
mean,
speaking and calling a spade a spade.
I'd rather be having them pushed that way besides all that other shit that I'm seeing on the news and TV every night.
That's
Because
fine,
ain't
but that's
nobody trying
fine.
to
So
clean
that's
that
not
up.
the argument.
We talking
The
about
argument is,
relationships.
do you right? So that's what I'm saying. So the argument is, do you really speak and believe in what you just said, or do you really speak and believe that somebody should be against women in general? Because Kevin Samuels has been the man that showed that he is willing to lead if someone gives him a platform and allows his voice to be elevated. This is what he's chosen to do with said voice. He is a man that showed that men can have a voice and are still essentially the framework for the mindsets of many. His rhetoric speaks against what you just said needs to be corrected. And you just said that you align yourself with approving his message as long as somebody's speaking against something. But he's not
I
speaking
don't
against whores. He's speaking.
I don't approve nothing by that guy. I'm gonna stand by him because
Just
he's a
going off
man,
of what you
and it
said.
seems like he's being attacked by a woman. But I don't say plenty of times on different platforms that I don't even watch this guy. But from what I was hearing from this situation, you know what I'm saying? It looked like they just straight out trying to attack him when I don't see nothing that he's really doing wrong. I see more disgusting stuff from from the gender of people who's attacking him, that they need to clean up on their side, is what I'm saying.
So nothing in life is ever about right or wrong. It's about pragmatics. What is the end game? You said that your end game was for men, if they could clean up the whores, or women clean up the whores. So what I'm saying is, you're supporting him, and whatever he's speaking on says that that's not what you're for. Goes against that directly. So if that is what
If
you're
that's what you want to
for,
say, then yes, I'm gonna support
that's
him. If
right.
that's what
We're
you want
just
to say.
going off of what it
But
is
if
that you're
anybody else
saying.
anybody else in the chat heard me different, that's what I really said.
Okay, well, the great thing about recordings is that, you can go back and rewind. So, urban therapy, how do you feel about it?
well, for my interpretation of what Man Milton said, he was generalizing the specific type of women that's been talking about for us this particular situation. That's what he was talking about. His language may appear that he was generalizing every woman, but that wasn't the case. He was just really talking about that particular woman in that particular situation, and that's why he made the statement that he was making about that.
Oh yeah, I
Thank you for
got the
cleaning that up for me.
generalization. His generalization was that when are women going to speak out against or clean up the whore? That was his statement. So his statement is also that men don't have a platform or position to lead women that are off the rails. Same said whores. And so I referenced those same said whores calling a man who is now under hot fire for reshaping the behaviors of many women, including women that are whores calling his show. But he is not addressing the hotivity of those women. He is not saying that these things are negative components in those said women. So when you say that
If
you
he
do
say that,
support whatever he pushes, you support him condoning tourism.
like I said, if that's what you want to say, the chat heard me different. But um, it, I don't understand how they not look at this as an attack, especially attack on men. If he's doing whatever they say, which I don't see him doing, all right. You look at Dr. Umar. Dr. Umar tried to get a school started for boys. Women have a problem with that. When are they going to straighten their ship and stop worrying about what we're trying to do on this side?
That's an interesting, valid question.
That that
But
that,
but
that
the,
was what I
but
was
the,
trying to say all the way around. You know what I'm
but
saying?
but the end of the day, that goes back into infringing people on freedom of speech too. Because at the end of the day, people could speak wherever truth they want to. Um, but just like I say personally, is that when it comes from the point of truth, where you trying to tie your truth into saying that this is 100% facts and this is what the way it got to go, that's when I cross the line with that, saying like, no, that is not facts at all. And what you're doing, you're just trying to promote your personal Reddit. You know what I'm saying? Your personal perspective, your personal truth, and trying to make it be more than what it is.
My point exactly. But do I think that Kevin Samuels, like every other person on the planet who associates themselves with American citizenship or Americanism in any way, has a right to voice his opinion? Sure. But his opinion should not be taken as fact. And if he's going to put something out there that says that these are the stats, and behind every single video, there should be a reference there to reference these points, or a study there to reference these points, simply because he's indicating that he's a scholar of human behavior in some way, shape, or fashion. If you are a scholar, the idea is when we have students that are coming in, as a professor, my students must cite their sources. And their sources must be in alignment with peer-reviewed articles, things that other peers have reviewed, approved, the science behind, research methodology behind, etc. So it has some level of efficiency when people are looking at those stats. Anybody can come up with stats. Anybody can say that one thing outweighs one, and perception is subjective. So I think that the reality behind it is this: make it make sense for me. I'm a pragmatist. So for me, if it doesn't align with the end game, if it doesn't align with the ideals behind your movement, etc., then I just can't get behind it. I can't even understand it, because it appears that you have a problem with even understanding yourself. So I think that people have got to get into the business of reliability statistics.
Is it that when you have a whole lot of education, everybody else seems to talk is stupid?
You said, repeat your question. I didn't hear you.
I said, when you have a high education, do you look down as other people when they talk as just being stupid?
Do I think that people are stupid because they don't have the same level of education?
Yep.
Is that what you're asking? No, I think that they're ignorant, because to be ignorant means to not know a thing. So, but
Wow. So
being
everything that
ignorant
I'm
of a
saying out
thing
my
doesn't
mouth is
mean
supposed to be
that,
ignorant.
no, those are your truths. So your truths have nothing to do with the overarching truths of a situation that are in it,
Interesting.
or non-permeable. So there are subjective truths and there are objective truths. So if a person, your experiences are going to guide and shape your perspective, and they're still as valid as the next person.
Truth is truth. I mean, you got book truth. I got real life truth. I live in the hood. You live in Beverly Hills. So the truths will be
everybody has their own truth. So the reliability of those truths are based on a couple of things. When we're looking at individuals and their perspectives. We're talking about family of origin, cultural origin, subculture of origin, environmental exposure, social exposure, media exposure, and the way that they respond to them based off of family of origin. There are several things that go into the way that people view life around them and also receive their experiences, because everybody won't receive the same experiences in the same way. Several women get raped every day. Some of them are extremely traumatized afterwards. Some of them are extremely resilient afterwards. What is the difference? The factors that I just mentioned before. So the way that they receive or that experience is based off of their innate truths that have guided and shaped their understandings over the course of life. To be ignorant of what it looks like to heal after a trauma doesn't make the next woman a liar, doesn't make the next woman less reliable. It just makes her without the coping mechanisms that help her manage distress in a better way or more efficient way.
What I'm saying is most of their experiences in life have no guidance. That's what I'm going back to. Nobody's out here teaching these girls. I know a lot of these chicks who go to parties, you know what I'm saying, know what the hell they doing, put themselves in a bad position because nobody taught them not to put themselves in a bad position. And then all these other things occur. Nobody's out here teaching them.
Right, so I don't disagree with that.
And I've seen this numerous times.
I've had a whole show on that. So accountability and responsibility are two separate things. Like I just said, ignorance is what typically positions people in those spaces, like you just said, to that same fact. But the point is, the outcomes are not anything different. The outcomes are still the same. So are we going to say that ignorance is bliss, or ignorance is an excuse for breaking the law or breaking society's standards of morality or ethical behavior? Of course not. You're still going to hold those people accountable, whether they know or not. The vast majority of men call a woman a whore if she had a train ran on her, but she was afraid to leave the room, or she was coerced to have it done. What matters is what they see on the surface.
How did she get herself into that situation?
Exactly. So that's my point. So the average fan is going to ask that question: how did you get yourself in that situation? So instead of holding these men accountable for having a rape that they meant to participate in, they would hold the woman accountable first for how she got herself in that situation, regardless of what the crime is. Yes,
I got another question for you. Mm-hmm. Are you a feminist?
Original feminist, yes. New age feminist, no.
Okay, that explains a lot of your answers. Okay. Because for me to say, you know what I'm saying, why didn't she know no better to put herself into that position, for you to come back to point it right back towards the men? You know what I'm saying? Still, what are these girls?
I didn't point anything for anyone.
You said we was escaping accountability. That's what you said.
Because you are.
So you did answer it.
So legally, do you think a male police officer, having seen that particular situation, do you think he's gonna arrest a man or no?
Say that one more time.
I work off of facts.
Say that again.
Not emotion. I said a male police officer, having seen that situation, is he going to arrest those men that were a party to that situation or not?
Yes, he is.
Okay, so that's called accountability. That's called accountability then.
Yes, so I have no problem.
So that police officer cares nothing about that woman positioning or putting herself in that situation. You want to know why? It's pragmatic. So I'm a pragmatist. That's what I work off of. What makes sense? What makes sense is he violated the law and violated her rights. Whether she put herself in that predicament or not is irrelevant. It just is.
I mean, I understand everything you're saying. I understand. But that's not really what I was trying to say. I didn't say the guys was less guilty or nothing like that. I said they would get arrested. But the main thing is, how come this girl don't know better than put herself into that position?
So I
Where's the
totally
teaching?
understand. I did
Where's the
that and I
teaching going
agreed
on?
to that. I said that I did a whole video on that. I've done several videos on that, several accountability videos. This is what I do.
Well,
So
after
I don't
you
hold
disrespected me the
anybody
first time on your
accountable.
panel, I don't come back to your show too much after you disrespected me that first time on your panel.
Well, that's
So
fine. You're more than welcome to have your perspectives on whatever. But the point is, my panel and me in general, I'm about accountability. That's it. Period. So whether or not it's in your personal interest or not, that's what it is. I call a spade a
so
spade. If you
so
can't
so
handle it, then get out the kitchen.
so me asking the question is not accountability.
Depending
Of
on
me
what that
asking
question is.
that's
Sometimes you're asking a question for accountability. Sometimes you're asking a question to understand.
man, where's the referee at? I'm done.
Is that not a fact? Official urban therapist?
I ain't high enough to deal with your trickery tonight.
It has nothing to do with trickery. It's about pragmatic. Make it make sense.
That
If you
is
can't make
a
it
whole
make
bunch of
sense, I'm the
trickery
wrong
because
person to have an argument.
you sitting here telling me stuff that I didn't say. You know what I'm saying? I never said these guys was
Like
less
I
guilty or
said,
nothing. I asked the question, and why
neither did
ain't this
I.
girl?
Neither did I. Is that what you heard me say, official urban therapist?
Well,
Like I
well,
said, the rewind button works both ways. Like I said.
Are you on the
well,
bus?
Where the heck?
she,
Oh,
she
I'm looking
driving.
at two screens. I'm like, where that
That
sound
part.
come from?
I'm
But
not driving.
well, to be honest and to be unbiased about this, he did repeatedly say his stance about what he was talking about repeatedly, but it do appear like Dr. Jefferson that it's like you're trying to pull certain type of information out of him or about what
Let me
he
say
said and
something.
interpret it in a different way.
Yeah, that's why you pull information to get a better understanding. It's called probing.
Yo, I know I'm late, but what is the subject you guys talking about?
Oh well, originally we was talking about the petition about
Kevin
Ms.
Samuels.
Jones put out. Yeah, about Kevin Samuelson, that petition that she put out, and she was saying that the petition causes well, his platform causes violence against women, and that's what it stayed on the petition. But about 3 hours ago, she did an interview on another channel,
Platform. Huh.
yeah, another platform. In other words, and her rebuttal contradicted everything that was talking about the petition.
Yeah, I would imagine so. To me, you can't censor him and put all this weight on him that he's causing violence towards any race of women. That makes no sense. Kevin Samuels' influence is what, 8 months? Did violence against women start just 8 months ago? That makes no sense. And the thing is, do we really want to censor a black man who, whether you agree with him or not, actually has worked his way up from the ground up? Whether you disagree with him, has worked his way up fairly and is successful. Why would we shit on that? You could debate him. You could disagree with him. You could create your own channel and combat what he's saying. But for you, well, not you, but for that person to try to silence him and get him off the airways, where is that energy when it comes to other people's platforms that are actually doing wrong against our race?
Yeah,
We don't have that energy for anybody else. Why our own?
when they get to when they look like they're getting to a top or something. You know what I'm saying? I don't agree with nothing. I don't watch him, like I said, but I ain't trying to knock his money either. I ain't gonna fuck with him as money.
Exactly. He did it fair and square.
No,
I don't see anyone trying to take down. Well, you know what I mean. I don't see anyone trying to take down Joe Rogan. And Joe Rogan has had people on his platform that are racist and been saying a lot of things about black people and the origins of black people or the intellect of black people. I don't see no petition towards him. So why Kevin Samuels?
Well, because at the end of the day, he says something that many people don't like, and they feel that since they have the power of this quote unquote cancel culture, then they could exercise their rights to do that.
Why don't they do what I do? Don't watch.
Exactly. Exercise that
True.
right. Now watch.
True.
There's how many content creators on YouTube are there? You don't have to watch them. And the funny thing about it is that if you disagree with him, that's one thing. But no one can deny that there is a disconnect and a problem in the way how black men and black women relate to each other. And I'll even take a step further. Men in general of all races and women in general of all races, we're lacking the ability to communicate effectively. We're lacking the ability to relate to one another. We're lacking a certain humility to even come together and say that we need each other, that we're equally as important. It seems like right now we're competing against each other for the exact same position, which shouldn't be the case, because my body parts and my masculinity should not take away from a woman and her body parts and her femininity. We are not on the same playing field. We're in two different areas, so we can still coexist and have all the power that we want in our separate spaces. So I don't understand what this fight's about.
I think we're blind from the method that they're using to keep us separated. Like a lot of these definitions, not saying nothing bad about what the doctors say or nothing like that. You know what I'm saying? Those are highly educated answers to a lot of things you say. But a lot of those things we didn't have 120 years, 130 years ago, and things was working perfectly fine. It seems like the more education comes into the community, it seems like the more destruction is created.
Yeah, and you know why that is because the people who are doing the educating. If the thing that I like about cancel culture is the fact that it gives people it rewards a certain type of mentality, that we don't have to hear opposing views, that we don't have to battle with facts, that we could decide to ruin somebody if we don't like them. Right, and the whole respectability politics thing. That's not how society should be. We should be able to debate each other. We should be able to have opposing points of views, and still be able to have dinner or to have lunch during lunchtime and whatnot. But it seems like the more, as Matt said, the more we become educated, it seems like we're putting ourselves in a position where everybody's isolated based on what their beliefs are. Based on who they like, because they'll accept certain behavior from a certain person if they like them, but someone that they don't like, they won't accept any type of dishonesty or any type of approach from a person that they hate. So there's a lot of issues with this cancel culture that's ridiculous, and it seems like this is like a psyop where they're trying to they reward certain behaviors because they want people to adopt those behaviors. And with people now filming death, people now filming discrimination, people now living passively instead of actually doing something about it, getting actually in there and stopping injustice as it happens, as opposed to letting it happen, record it, and then after the fact, go and send it to WorldStar or go and send it to whatever CNN, whatever the newscast channel is. It makes no sense. When did that happen? This was never the case back in the day. You used to step in and stop something dead in its tracks. You would never sit back and watch whoever it is, whether it's a white man or a black man, beat a defenseless person, whether it's a senior or whether it's a woman. You would never let that happen.
Woman, I ain't gonna lie. I will allow a woman to get her ass beat right now. The last time I broke up one of those fights, I'm the one that went to jail, and that bitch walked away with the fucking dude that was whipping her fucking ass. A lot of these bitches ain't shit. Excuse me, yo.
Well, that's based on your personal perspective and situation. In that case, it's like you're generalizing every woman because of your experiences, and that's not the case. Now,
No, that's
with me
just mine.
personally,
I've seen it numerous times.
yeah, like with me, it been several times where I've been in my own neighborhood that I grew up in. where I come back to that neighborhood and I see dudes fighting and everything, I walk up to them and I literally break up the fight. Because for the simple fact, because I care about everything that happens in my community, you know. But at the same time, I understand that within that, you're dealing with different people with different behaviors and different upbringings, so you don't never know what they're going to do. They might just turn on you and try to be violent towards you, or even try to cause harm to you, try to, you know, murder you or kill you or anything like that, you know.
I think that comes from the lack of effort. The structure we're doing in our communities. It's like we go in our house and close the doors and don't even care who's live next door, across the street, or nothing. If it was more communications, it'd be easier to go out there to break that stuff up, because nigga, I know your mama.
Yeah, you remember what Cameron? Remember what Cameron said on 60 Minutes? How he said if during the whole no snitching thing, where the guy asked Cameron if there was a serial killer living next door, what would he do? Would he call the police? And the man said, I'd probably move. So, and the thing is, I know damn well Cam would call the cops, but he's not going to say that in front of millions of people watching. So he has to put up a front. But let's be for real. If you know someone is a serial killer or someone is a child molester, you're not going to call the cops? You're not going to try to get them out of here? You're not going to try to do something in the community to get them out of here?
First of all, you got to separate the serial killer from the child motherfucker. I would tell on the child motherfucker. It depends on how serial that serial killer is. You ain't getting out coming after me.
Hey, but you might be next if you don't say something.
Yeah, I mean, even that perspective right there, I have to disagree with that, because at the end of the day, you have to have your own personal integrity with what you stand on. Like if that be with, and I'm just saying with me personally, if I know my next door neighbor was a serial killer and I seen that dude or her on the news, heck yeah, I'm gonna call the authorities, because I don't know what that person is capable of doing. Yeah, I'm gonna do it. I don't care. I'm gonna snitch like I ain't nothing, because it's needed for the community to better the community. And
yeah, you know, it's not even snitching either. That's not what snitching is, right?
It ain't snitching. It's the I'm gonna say it's this, or law enforcement's going to do the correct job. Because you can tell on a motherfucker, and that motherfucker could be out in about 2-3 months. You know?
Yeah, even that right there. I'm glad you brought that up, man. Even that right there, that becomes part of accountability as us as a community, because at the end of the day, we do vote these people in if we vote and get them into the office. So it's our accountability to participate who we know is in our community. They're leaders over us, like the law enforcement, politicians, and everything like that. You know, we do have the ability to challenge them. We have the ability to go to those meetings and everything and see where they at, and either get them in or get them out.
Yeah, hold people accountable. It's a two-way street when it comes to the community. If you have an issue with law enforcement and how they're doing things, then it's up to the community to speak up and do something to get them on the right page, right? To make sure that the relationship is intact.
Yeah, absolutely. The one way things going to change, especially like dealing with crooked cops and politicians, all the stuff there, is that we have to exercise our rights as citizens. We got to do that. We got to put the things that's on priority, like voting and everything like that. That's important, because it deals with your community. So we have to put that as priority. But so we can get out of this mindset of you know, woe is me, or blaming it on the man and all this stuff that when we ain't even doing our part. Now it's different, is that we really did our full part, our full participation, and still these situations happen. That's totally different.
You know what's funny too? The reason, like, whenever there's crime in the community, a lot of times people don't want to speak to the cops. A lot of it's because they don't trust police. But the other part that people don't really talk about is because people are afraid of the killers in the community, because they know if they say something, they could be killed as well too, and no one's going to protect them, right?
Because most of the time, the people that they locking up is usually the cops is on their payroll. So if somebody do say something, you know what I'm saying? This is in the real hoods.
They'll get back to.
Somebody do say something, it's coming back to them.
Yeah. But the sad thing about it is that these are the same people that, when it comes to the culture or the music, we idolize, right? But those are the same people that terrorize majority of the people in these neighborhoods, right? Because
My point exactly.
it's a select few. Again, I grew up in, I won't say I grew up in the hood, but I grew up in a certain area, right? And you knew who the people were. You knew, and you also knew who the good people were as well too. And majority of the people living in those areas are good people, right? So, but the problem is when you have certain people that you know are either crazy, but crazy gives you street cred, or whatever the case may be, and you don't want to say anything, and that type of image is held in high regard, then you gave those people free reign, and they end up terrorizing the community and the block. So I don't know. It's one of those things where it's really up to the community and the people who have some type of leadership to do something first. And in my opinion, if law enforcement sees what's happening and now they're held accountable to actually do something, then they'll start doing more, because then they have no choice. But I feel what's happening now, police aren't willing to even lift an extra foot to do anything more than just collect the paycheck, and that's it, and get their pension. They don't really care, but they don't have any vested interest into helping the community, because they feel the community just want to help themselves, and that's a problem.
Yeah, and that goes along with, I mean, with several situations. Let me give you an example. Like all of us, we been, we work for some type of corporate company at one point in time, or either if we're doing it now or we did it or whatever. And you always have that one employee that always spread around mess, not because the company is horrible, but because of their personal experience with the company. And so they just made it their personal mission to corrupt everybody and everything in that company around them because of their personal experience about it. And
Cancer.
I believe and I believe that it's the same towards like the law enforcement as well. Like it was someone had this personal experience with dealing with, probably either a citizen or whatever. It probably been some type of personal experience. And so they got to the point where, like, look, they're not going to change. Everybody's the same exact way. So forget it. I'm just going to want to do me. If I got to be a corrupt cop, I'm going to do what I can do. I'm going to be a corrupt cop, just take care of my family. I'm going to do what I got to do. And that becomes the immediate reality. But the whole point of that deals with, us being accountable for that person. If that person then did that, then sure, we need to hold that person accountable and check that person.
Mm-hmm.
And that person no longer needs to be an officer of the law, period. That person needs to be fired. But if we're not doing our part in, as Cynthia G used this word all the time, vetting people, if we're not vetting, then it doesn't, that person will always be there, period. Because we're not doing nothing about it.
It starts before that, you know what I'm saying? Because these kids were, these people were kids at one time. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. A lot of that stuff had to start at home. We asking a system to change, but we're not willing to change our homes. Changing the music they listening to, changing the TV shows they watching. You know what I'm saying? All this bullshit is frequencies, curses, and all that stuff that's going on to your kids. They grow up with this shit in them and going out there fucking up the streets. But then we want the cops to change. No, we have to change ourselves.
It's interesting because Kevin Samuels put up a post yesterday. He put up a link to that Moynihan report that he always talks about. How the destabilization of the black family structure, and how they were monitoring that, and it was like a think tank, whatever the case may be. But I read it, and it's interesting because everything that they attribute to the dysfunction of, Black America, if you want to use that term, they're saying it stems from the destruction of the family structure, right? And it's interesting to hear them talk about it in general terms, right? But and they also attribute it to the fact of the history of Black Americans within America and the injustices and all of the issues that led to this. But the main point is that it's the lack of family structure. And I'll be honest, when you look at, especially now as the cost of living gets higher and higher, and you have a lot of single parent households who are raising children, there's a lot of stress that goes on. A lot of people are working multiple jobs. They don't have the time to even teach their children. And then they're dependent on the school system to teach their children. But the school system, a lot of them don't even get much tax dollars. A lot of them have no proper systems in place to teach children. The teachers are underpaid. The teachers don't have any motivation to teach the children. Because the children aren't supervised, you don't even know if they're in their classes. The parents have no idea.
We can't allow that. We can't allow that to be an excuse no more, either.
But here's the thing:
if you're teaching and you love to teach, it shouldn't be no price on it.
Here's the thing:
I don't do jobs that.
Do you have any children, Matt?
Yeah, I got 2.
Okay, so are they school age?
Yes, one is in junior high and the other one is in ODU university.
Okay, put it this way: a lot of people think that children are supposed to learn how to read in school.
No, that starts at home.
Exactly, right? But a lot of people believe that the school teaches the children how to read.
They give them the basics.
Well, here's the thing: by the time, if the people wait until then for the school, you believe the school's going to teach your children to read, your children's going to be behind.
Like 3-4 years.
Yeah, and the thing is, remember, in school they don't teach grammar anymore. At least not here in Canada. They don't teach grammar. They don't teach anything about verbs, or pronouns, adjectives. None of those things.
They don't teach that no more?
No.
Wow.
No. They don't teach none of those things. So a lot of times the writing of the younger generation, it's informal. The sentence structure is way off. It's going to get worse and worse. But the point I'm making is that a lot of people believe that the school is supposed to develop your child, is supposed to educate your child and turn them into a productive member of society. When, number one, school was never intended to do that. That was never the purpose of school. But number two, the school systems, because they're getting worse and worse and have less money and resources, all they really are nowadays is just a place for your child to sit for 8 hours while you work.
Now, that's an area we need to look up into. Why are these schools so broke? Now, I'm in the hood, and I don't live in many hoods. You know what I'm saying? In my 4.5 decades here. Now, how much money do Negroes spend on the lottery, which is supposed to go to the schools? I mean, I see people $100, $200, one person, $200 spending on lottery. You know what I'm saying? But still, the school out here sucks. We had an all-black area, and all these people do is buy nothing but lottery tickets and scratch-offs, and still the schools are shitty as hell. I thought the lottery money was supposed to go to the schools.
But I guess it's how it's distributed, because the lottery is a state run.
Yeah.
So then the question becomes, okay, it's state run, but then what neighborhoods is it distributed to, or what zones is it distributed to?
What zones? This little country zone out here is giving them a lot of money.
But again, that's the problem. I know up here, because there's Catholic schools and there's public schools. If you don't know, your tax dollars could be like, you could be Catholic, your child might be in a Catholic school, but your taxes are going to public school systems. Because you, for some reason, you didn't know to click off on a certain box to say, hey, my tax dollars goes to the Catholic education school system, right? So I don't know how it is in the States, but there's certain things where if you don't know, your money's going to a place that your kids will never utilize, right? So there's a lot of crazy things like that where money is taken away from neighborhoods, and those tax dollars and the resources are going to other communities.
Hey, quick question. Do y'all agree that it's the parents' responsibility to teach the fundamentals and it's the school responsibility to teach the theory.
Um, that's hard to say because because I came up in, you know what I'm saying, like the early 80s, 80, 81, 82, as far as elementary and stuff. So is y'all learn ABC and all that stuff.
Yeah, my mom taught me to read before I hit school, right? And I did that with my kids too. They're able to at least read something before they hit school as well too. But I don't. Here's the thing. I think what school teaches your kids is how to socialize with other people, and how to think and how to learn. So, for example, if a teacher gives you a certain assignment, as a student, you have to know, okay, where to look, how to gather information, how to gather your thoughts, and how to put it on paper, right? And to communicate. So I think school helps with that aspect. But as far as your core beliefs, as far as how to what's what I'm looking for, how to cut your level of discernment, all that stuff has to come from the parent, right?
Yeah,
Because
absolutely.
at the end of the day, you're gonna find out at some point in your educational career that what's being taught to you is bullshit, and you're gonna have to have enough discernment to say, okay, whatever I'm learning in school, a lot of it's surface level. Where can I go to get more information on this subject and get the truth about what's really going on in the world? Because I'll be honest, a lot of the things that I learned, I had to go and search out for myself. The school system didn't teach me, right? And I'll be honest, a lot of things I learned as well too is sitting down with my parents watching 60 Minutes. Like that was something that we did regularly every Sunday. Even if football came on, it still came on after the fact. It was delayed, but it still came on. And as a child, I watch all that shit because you get more information that way, right?
hmm
Because the school system, especially what's happening now, how they're teaching math. Like if I ask my son, if I say to my son, what's 10 minus 4? He says to me, what's minus? He doesn't know because they don't even use that phrase minus. They use like take away, or they use different terminology now, right? And long division, they don't use long division anymore. They took that out, and I think they brought it back just recently this year, but they took that out for a long period of time. So yeah,
They trying to make them kids stupid.
stupid.
Yeah.
Exactly what's happening. And the thing is, because we have these tests that are generalized tests throughout the whole country, to like a standardized test to find out where people's education levels are, and to see if how well the system is doing. And they found out, yeah, and they found out that people are getting worse and worse in math, and they didn't understand why.
What's called in math, because they keep telling you to what was that shit they used to tell me? Because I used to be real smart at math, even though I flunked through school and shit. But I was smart. I was smart, and I just didn't do my work. But it was like this. It's like if you're doing long division or any kind of improper fraction and stuff like that, I was good enough to do it mentally in my head without putting it on paper.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When you just put an answer down and they know you ain't got no damn calculators where you sitting at, they ain't see you typing on nothing. They still want to see all the work.
Yeah, they want you to break it down. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If I can do it mentally, why writing it down might confuse me.
Yeah. See. Once again, this is the reason why I brought up the point versus fundamentals versus theory, because in the education system, especially in the higher education, that's all they teach. They just teach the theory part of it, but it's up to you to make sure that you have the fundamentals, which it does start at home, start in the household. Now, like say for example, we can show our children the easiest way that 2 + 2 = 4, and they'll get it the easy way. But however, the school want the theory part about it, and they want you to do the full work. Okay, 2 + 2 = 4 because the algebraic expression, the XYZ plus the quadratic fundamentals and all this different, saying all this different stuff. But that's the
Yeah.
reason why they do what they do, because they teach in theory, versus our responsibility is teach the fundamentals and just be done with it. And like when I was doing my college thing and stuff, it was the same exact way. A lot of stuff I learned in college, it was theory. It was a whole lot of theory, but it was up to me to go further than that and to learn how this applies to my everyday life on this whatever I'm learning about.
What's funny about what you said is that one of my sons, because like you said, if you give them what's 4 plus 4, no problem, he knows the answer. But if you do a word problem solving question, like
Exactly.
John has 6 potatoes, and Lisa gives him 3, and Jason gives him 3 more, but then his mother takes 2. How many potatoes does John have? He gets lost. Because again, like you said, theory is being taught, but nothing practical to say, okay, math is real life, and this is how it applies in real life, right? So a lot of kids have that issue where they're not able to translate it into real terms, right? And that's a problem, and that happens for a lot of university students as well too. It's like you have educated people, quote unquote educated people, but if you give them a real world problem, they'll lose. Meanwhile, someone who has no education whatsoever, but has been dealing with real world problems and problem solving skills are up to par, they're able to solve a whole bunch of things, right? So you see it all the time. University educated people, and then people who went to trade school, or people who learned a craft. It's a type of thinking that's applied, right? And it all comes down to how we're taught to think. And I think that is the difference between what you have to do as a parent with your child and what the school does. Because the school will teach you how to think in a certain way. Most times they teach you how to think like an employee, whereas if you look at the people who became millionaires or entrepreneurs, their thinking is completely different. And it's not that they're smarter; it's that the thought process is completely on another vibration, where the two people can't understand each other. Like, one will think that I have to work 40 hours or 80 hours every 2 weeks, and have to wait 2 weeks for my paycheck. Whereas the other one will say, well, we could create something, sell it for X amount of money now, and take that money and reinvest it. Like, it's a different type of train of thought, right? And as a parent, you have to make sure that your child is able to understand that other part, because it's that other part that's going to help them, especially if they're a black or of any race that is being discriminated against. Because if you have to depend on an employer to give you a salary, and the employer is racist or has racist practices, you can't depend on that person. But if you could do it on your own, and you could generate something or create something of value, and be able to have the business savvy to sell it, right? Then no matter what happens, if times get rough, if the economy suffers, you have that ace in the hole to make sure you have food on the table and money in your pocket, right? Because at the end of the day, people will always pay for something of value.
This is that's one of the main reasons why I don't use different Reddit forums like the education that I know about. Like I'm very, very strong in sociology, because that's my field that I'm studying, and I study also in psychology as well. But y'all rarely will hear me use the different language for us what sociologists will use, or a language where a psychologist or anybody will use. The reason why I do that, because I feel that all this stuff is theory for me. That's for my personal thing for me to learn. But when I'm interacting with everyday people is not going to understand what I'm saying. So it's better for me, in order for them to relate, it's better for me to be a normal, authentic person. That way I could share my experience and perspective and stuff, and they could relate to it and understand, like, oh, okay, that's what you're saying. Yeah, that's what I said,
I know the feeling, brother. I know the feeling.
Yeah. But yeah, that's exactly the reason why I don't do that. Then another reason too, that's sending from a different point of view is that sometimes when you do things like that, it actually belittles a person instead of trying to help them.
And there's a saying that the indicator of intelligence is being able to communicate with anybody, right? So,
Exactly.
I mean,
right.
that's how I learned, man. But you know what I'm saying? My stupid thoughts, you know what I'm saying, was called stupid. And who the fuck told you that? That's how I learned. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, don't get me wrong. If it at the same time, if I were to be on a panel with nothing but sociologists, and the whole topic is dealing with sociology, and they're speaking their language, then yeah, I could talk to them on the same level. Like, why not? I can. But if I'm on a one informal panel, and so that's different. That's informal, so I'm just gonna be me, and express how I feel and be done with it.
Hey, do you guys remember back in school, the person who asked the most questions was looked at as stupid? You guys remember that?
No, they was looked at as smart ass as far as.
No, it was no. I remember that. I know what you're talking about.
No, I remember.
I do see what you're saying though.
Yeah, I remember in grade school, it's like, yo, why ask so much questions? You don't know the answer. That's what people that was the approach people took, and a lot of people kept their mouth shut because they're afraid that if they ask a question, they'll be looked down upon, right? But as you get older, you start to realize asking questions means, one, that you're paying attention. Two, that means you're trying to process the information, and three is that you have a willingness to understand. And all those things lead to a high intelligence, right? A lot of people don't realize that, right? So trust me, someone who asks a lot of questions is someone that is actually paying attention and is willing to learn, and that's the most important thing. But I remember back in the day, people looked down on people who ask questions. What is this? What is that? People roll their eyes at those people.
Yeah, as though that was intelligent. Yeah, I experienced that because people used to do that to me when I was little. Because I'm always the person. I love asking questions, not because I'm dumb or anything like that. It's because I'm just be trying to understand it.
Yeah.
So I could get an interpretation from my personal point of view.
Yeah, you want to grasp it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. I agree with that.
We don't jump off the topic. Gosh, so much.
No, we're still talking about Kevin Samuels. It does went deep. You know how we do. We take it to a whole nother level.
Yeah,
so is this for real? This is really taking off, this whole petition?
Yeah, it's a real petition. So far she got by 15,000 signatures. So far.
But who is she? Is she someone of importance or just a random person?
No, she does a content curator, just like us.
Another YouTube channel.
Yep.
Pitiful.
Trying to censor another YouTube creator. That's crazy.
Ain't that crazy?
Man, it's pull-up season. I think
crazy.
Kevin Samuels need to pull up.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why I did this because well, first of all, this been out for almost nearly a month now. And so I purposely waited until she actually came forth with her reasoning behind what she was doing what she did before I decided to do a podcast about it or a video about it and stuff. And so she finally came out today on this other YouTuber channel today. She finally came out about it and she was talking about it. And so her whole reason for the petition is because she's saying that Kevin Samuels is causing violence against women, based on what he's talking about, and after when the people who's interviewing him, the conclusion was that it didn't have nothing to do with the violence towards women. He was causing no type of violence towards women whatsoever. It was just his personal truth, and she just don't agree with it.
That's crazy. I don't. Man, to me that's just hate. That's all that is.
Yeah. Yeah, because like I say, I done did different videos of Kevin Samuels. Some of them I agree with them. Others I disagree with him, but at the same time, I'm not finna go through here and try to cancel them. Like for
I
what? Like
see.
why?
I seen a picture of a dude in his bed. I seen him eating some ice cream, looking at another guy, and I heard him
Yeah,
say he
the
was a country
Jalelo
girl.
thing.
I don't need to
Yeah,
watch.
yeah, just different things like that. The Jalelo thing. They was talking about the sexuality, and I said that plenty of times. I don't care about his sexuality. You know, make his
I
sexuality
just,
don't have no type of validity. But
I
at the
just
end
know
of the
he
day,
ain't the
it's
type of dude that I need to watch.
yeah,
That's
it
all I
doesn't
got for
matter.
me.
So
I might
yeah, it
pick
don't
some of
matter. At
that
the
up.
end of
I
the
ain't
day,
watching this dude.
yeah,
It's
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 just a
funny
secret at the end
because
of the day, bro.
yeah, it's funny because his mannerisms are like that. I'll agree, but when you listen to the context of what he says in his discussions, it doesn't promote that at all, right? And it's funny because you have a lot of other people. Uh, you can even mention like Mark Lamont Hill and the stuff that he promotes, but yet I think he has a wife or something of that sort, or
Who?
he's married.
Who?
But Mark Lamont Hill, the one that quote unquote debated Judge Joe
That's a news.
Brown.
That's a news
Yeah,
broadcast, ain't it?
yeah.
Oh yeah, the black guy. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
but he promotes a lot of funny style things, right?
That guy there is
But
suspect.
he's supposed to be hetero, so it's almost like, what would you rather have? A person who's hetero promoting that stuff, or a person who has the mannerisms of a female but promotes the proper things, right? A lot of times we get into the person as opposed to the message.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. And that's now I advocated that as well. And Kevin Samuels, he said that on his on the show several times that hey, you know, it's okay. You can hate me, I don't care, but you don't have to hate the message though. If you have a problem with the message, then I'm more than willing to listen to it and stuff. But I don't think he
Man,
does because like it been people who challenge him and he run away from it too. So
when he talking
challenge
about
his
his
message.
message, whenever he's talking about his message, ask that fool where he get it from. Sodo Nation up in here. Goddamn it. We ain't gonna allow that disrespect.
But yeah, like I say, it is what it is at the end of the day. That lady, that's all it is. That she just didn't agree with what he was saying, and for her to make that huge reach, talking about he's causing domestic violence towards women and everything like that, that's crazy because he didn't do that.
He doesn't promote that.
Yeah, he doesn't promote that. And I'm not gonna sit up there and co-sign say he do because I know he don't.
But he's toned down his style, though. I'll say that he's toned down some of the things that his approach, which is probably best for him, right? If YouTube gets to monitoring his content. So
Yeah,
yeah,
true.
he's being very careful.
I mean, shit. He gotta expect that if you steal a message from somebody who everybody's after, how long do you think you're gonna last?
He's gonna last, yeah. Well, he
Yeah,
made it
because
to 1 million. That's
yeah,
that
he
to
did.
me.
Yeah, he had 1 million.
To me, based on the sector that he's come from, no one has 1 million. Nobody has 1 million.
The only other
They
people
did
that I
have it.
know of,
Channel
the
that
the
did
only
it.
Who? Well, yeah. But
Tommy did have it a couple
he
of
had
times.
he had 1 million.
Yeah, a couple of times. He been up here 9
Really?
years. No, not 9 years. He been up here
No,
since
he's been on
09.
for a while. He's been on for a while.
the only other content creators that I know of that has up to about 1 million is people who do video game channels.
Oh,
Yo,
yeah.
those that white content creator space, they're making like they'll get 1 million in a few hours, especially in that gaming space, man.
Yeah, I'm thinking about going gaming myself.
So who
Yeah,
you
yeah.
said? I'm already getting set up. He said, do this thing. You're gonna be the official urban therapist
shoot.
playing on Madden and everything. On this live, y'all tripping. I'm trying to get in where this money is.
Actually, don't put it on this channel. Put it on the start a new channel for it.
Yeah, you gotta create a new channel.
A lot of us are just
Yeah.
gonna swap over anyway, but they don't mess up your content and don't mess up your algorithm.
The algorithms,
this
yeah,
channel.
exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You have
exactly.
even
That's what I'm doing.
yeah, Boyce Watkins get into gaming too as well. He's trying to jump on everything, man.
Yeah.
Every trend he tries to jump on.
All he doing is playing Monopoly. The hell he doing?
No, he was playing
Yeah,
Call of Duty.
Call
He
of
playing
Duty,
Call of
yeah.
Duty.
Oh man, I got 8 of those games down here, and I don't even play them.
Yeah, I never touched one of those.
I buy them and don't play them just because everybody talking about it.
Yeah, I'm trying to follow the paper trail, bro. Everybody else doing it. I'm gonna jump on it too. So I'm gonna hook my PlayStation 4 up. I'm gonna give me a Twitch account and everything. I'm going all in.
What I don't understand is why would people watch someone else play a video game?
It's
To me,
exciting, man.
To me, that makes no sense
Oh,
because
no.
already playing a video game is a passive lifestyle. Because you have people playing NBA Live when they could be actually going outside and playing basketball themselves. So
Yep.
to watch someone else playing a video game is crazy. That shit don't make no sense to me whatsoever.
That's all I be watching is the basketball, the football games, and the wrestling. Especially the wrestling. Some of these guys, man, make these storylines dope. Man, John Cena running the NWO shit. I forgot what channel. Element Games. Check their channel out, man. They got
Is it a gaming channel?
Yeah, they got a whole series going on the WWE 2020, I believe, man, and it's like a whole storyline that's been running for a year.
Oh, they create storylines in the game.
Yeah, man, you should see the Undertaker.
Shit, okay.
You should see the Undertaker and Kane's son, yo. Them dudes are nasty, yo. Them dudes are nasty.
Yeah, it's a whole different world, man. Whole different world.
It sure is. Well, gentlemen, I'm just gonna get off here. I've been on here for three hours. I appreciate y'all coming up and sharing y'all perspective and hearing my perspective as well. I also appreciate everyone who's tuning in, viewing right now on both Facebook and YouTube. I appreciate y'all sharing y'all thoughts and perspective about what we're talking about. Matt, and Porter, go ahead and share y'all want content where people could, support you as well.
All right, you can check me out at Mad Militant News channel. It'll be up and running real soon.
Yeah, you can check me out at Part of My Presence YouTube channel. I gotta put up some more videos on there. Just a place to discuss topics and have some critical thought and analysis. And yeah, thanks for having me, man. Appreciate it.
Oh yeah, likewise, and I'm pretty sure we talking about it, but I'm pretty sure out there was supposed to get ready to have a gaming channel for real, like for sure.
Yeah,
I'm working on it.
Diversify your YouTube portfolio, man, for real.
Have 3-4
Oh,
channels.
yeah.
Just separate them. Whatever you want to make. Have 2-3 channels. It don't matter.
Yeah, you ain't gotta show your face.
Exactly. I sure will. I ain't tripping. I ain't doing it right now, but I will. Shoot.
Somebody might
But
watch it.
but yeah, I appreciate it, y'all. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the other one. I got other podcasters that's on here too. Got George Chit Chat. Got Money Boy Trey who's on here. Miss Lisa, she's on here. I think Miss Faith was on here, and the Joker was on here as well. Appreciate all y'all watching my content as well and sharing it out. And I ain't gonna forget Dr. Jefferson. Everyone, y'all can also follow Dr. Jefferson channel as well too. Her channel called Life Discussions with Dr. Jefferson. So go ahead and check that out too and sub it. All right.
I'm gonna get her with some trickery. I'm gonna get her back for that trickery.
She's a slick one, man.
Hey, say Matt, you did notice that when she was starting to go there, you noticed what I did, right? I didn't say nothing because I knew where she was going.
I just tried to keep it as cool as possible.
But yeah, she cool though. She cool people. But we all have our different point of views and perspectives. Bye then, everyone. I appreciate y'all tuning in. Oh, Miss Stone on her. Hey, Miss Stone, it's been a while. It's been a while.
Peace.
Yeah, we gotta hook up again. But
All
all
right,
right,
man.
then,
Peace.
peace out, everybody. We'll see you again in the future.
I respect.